Ladies and gentlemen, back here to the FIS World Series Montpellier 2018, presented by SFR, Montpellier Mediterranean Metropole, an honor for the brave. Thank you guys so much for joining us out here. It's going to be the BMX Spine qualifications or semifinals, however you want to look at it. It's an open qualification, and I have none other than my favorite BMX co-host, Daryl Now. Thank you so much for joining once again, my man.
Ryan, you are too kind, but you did get one thing right, and that is the BMX Spine qualification. This is an open call to all BMX riders around the world, and we're about to see our gladiators go down in one of the best high-energy BMX events in the planet, our Spine Ramp.
And talking about just high energy, we're talking like close to 90 athletes. This is an open format, so the format is a bit crazy when you look at it. We don't usually do live streams for that many athletes, but that's just how many people, pros, come out here to want to compete in the light under the under that amazing stream that we have going on there. Walk us through.
Yeah, so basically the way we're doing this open call to all of our riders, we're breaking them down into 4 separate heats. It doesn't matter if you're in the first or last heat, you're going to have 2 runs up to 50 seconds per rider, and it's going to be the best run that counts. Now, the fact that it's the best run that counts and not an overall of the 2 runs is going to be such a crucial factor in determining which one of our riders are going to be the top 16 that are going to be moving on to our final. But when you have the open call like this, and the fact that the feast, we've got our stream showcasing all of our riders out there, it's so cool, because you sometimes get some riders that aren't necessarily contest riders, or maybe they don't qualify to the finals, and you get to see the exciting action of different styles.
Yeah, this is an absolutely amazing event, and you would usually think that for BMX, our park is our absolute main attraction out here at the FIS Montpellier, but there's just so many spectators coming out to watch all the different disciplines of action sports, amateur and professional alike, and this one is the one that happens to fall our first late night event. So this is just the second day of a 5-day jam-packed contest. The crowds were already out in swarms. It was over 25 degrees Celsius today under the blistering sun, and now the sun has finally come to a little calm. The drinks are out, the people are out in dwarms, as you can see out there by the mini ramp, and we're about to get the action underway. I'm elated to say that this is about to kick off one of my favorite events of the FIS Tour.
Yeah, you can just feel the energy building, Ryan. You talked about the weather. It's starting to cool off, but as the weather cools off, the energy is building. You said it's day 2. We're getting closer to the weekend, and all of our fans here in Montpellier know that. The party is begun, and the energy is getting ready out on our battlefield.
You guys can check it out right there. I mean, you already see how many people have come out. It's not even dark yet. So we've already mentioned that it's going to be close to 90 athletes competing out there today. I remember that we did last year 92 athletes. That's how much we got through. And if you think about that, it's going to be a very long one. So make sure you guys got your chip by your side. If you're watching at home, make sure you continue. Follow us online, all through social media. Hashtag your posts, FIS Montpellier and FIS World Series to stay involved with all the action. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on YouTube, because we have a long show ahead of us that you guys want to be involved with.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely want to see all of you throwing down those hashtags at home. It's so cool to see the way that you're getting a chance to take in the experience out here. Ryan and I want to see your setups, the way that you're either watching a computer, maybe you got a big party going on, but right now, all of our fans are getting here because the party is in Montpellier. And as the sun sets, Ryan, you can start to just see right in front of Town Hall just fill up by the thousands. In the next 15, 20 minutes, you're not even going to be able to grab a seat by the mini ramp. But thankfully, everyone around the world is going to get a chance to witness our 90 riders battling it out in our qualifier.
And we're just speaking about all these riders. They're all getting warmed up. But we had a huge showing last year and some amazing action go down. Let's take a look at what happened last year in 2017 under the lights in Montpellier.
Shiny things. Now I forgot, and I
sing. Webby, going mental Webby. Look at the energy. This is what I'm talking about for all of our BMX fans around the world. This is where BMX is celebrated.
Have you ever seen an audience that size at an action sports event, at a BMX event, at any single sporting event apart from the mainstream? I do not think so.
Well, Brian, that is just a taste, a preview of what we are about to see. 2017 was insane. The fact, though, that we are kicking things off, second stop on our World Series, everybody's excited because BMX Freestyle is going to be in the Olympics in 2020. Progression is up. But we saw Brian Fox do a 1080 over the spine. You guys saw right, that was 1, 2, 3 times around. We also had Michael Baran did that bike flip to tail whip on the quarter, which was insane.
We had absolutely amazing riding happen last year in 2017, but as well, it's such a long sport running at the fees. Like we heard you say in the video, actually, you hear them cheering Webby, Webby, Webby. I mean, there's so much adrenaline pumped throughout this crowd. It's one of the most amazing events that you can possibly come and watch live. We are not very close to the actual venue right now. We had to set up our studio 100 meters downstream, but you can still hear the chanting as the contest gets into the dark hours of the night. Super excited to see what happens. The crowd, as you see, is bundling in there, and I'm just, can't say enough. Just excited to see what the athletes are bringing out there this year.
Yeah, Ryan, this is a full-on, I know the term's almost a little cheesy, but this is a full-on rock star event. All the riders get to connect with the audience out here, and a lot of times we do have our Feast World Series champions or top podium finishers, but the cool thing is this is not part of the points race throughout the year, so it kind of takes the pressure off in some way, where we get our riders out there kind of showcasing some of their unique abilities on the ramp, where it doesn't have to come down to a specific contest run. And I remember last year, Webby was definitely a standout. He's always a crowd favorite here. Had a little difficulty in his runs, but he brought the energy, and the crowd rewarded him with the love, which was so cool. But top honors did go to Logan Martin at our spine competition. He's been a favorite here. He actually won the year prior, and he's been one to be in that top spot on the spine. Logan is here. He's in top health. We're going to see, can he take that first place again? But we do have all of our other riders who are ready to throw down.
I mean, speaking of that one, you're talking, he was just coming off of an injury, a very heavy collarbone shatter, actually. Had to have surgery to put everything back together. Really happy that he's back riding, but this was only a couple, like not even past 6 weeks ago, I feel. It was just so quick that he's back on his bike, healed up, had some great doctors, obviously, with that one, but as well, so determined to come back to the fees.
Yeah, and that's why I say top form. Any other rider or athlete really would be out for maybe 3 months, 4 months with recovery. But Logan is such an athlete, and he takes such good care of himself mentally and physically. He was able to recover quickly. He almost rode at our first stop in Hiroshima, but he said, you know what, I don't want to push it too early, because if I re-injure it, I'm not going to be able to be back on it. But thankfully, we're seeing here in Montpellier.
So I hear Catfish talking in the background that we are already have maybe some world first stuff happening out there. You can see our first heat is going to be Alexander Miroshnicko, Valentin, Jack Clark, and Pierre Colsonet, pardon me.
Well, Ryan, I'm going to say no pardon needed, because the cool thing about this, we actually have so many new names that, you know, myself being a BMX announcer for most of the major contests around the world, and you being drenched in BMX and mountain biking, the cool thing is you and I are going to get to see some new names and faces out here.
I mean, honestly, that's really the thriving part of the FIS World Series, is the ability that it's not just a professional-dominated sports category, but as well it opens the field to amateurs. And that just means you have this whole entire encompassing world of action sports, and now it's not just an invite-only contest for just the top elitists that are able to get that invitation and come out to the events and showcase for the world what they have. But you already know what they have. You don't know what the young talent has. And that's something that the FIS wants to thrive on. They open the categories to an amateur audience so that we are able to find new talent, so that we open those doors and say, if you have what it takes to compete with the best, you're able to come out here and show us that, and you will be rewarded. You might have to go through a couple more rounds. You'll have to do the qualification and then the semifinals and then the finals. But I mean, a lot of the professional riders have to do that anyways. And if you have what it takes, you're going to be rewarded for it. And then we're going to see you on the live with the top professionals that you've been looking up to for your whole entire career.
Yeah, Ryan, that's such a good point. And one of my favorite riders that I feel actually made a huge name for himself in 2016 was on this spine event. I'm talking about Jose Torres Gil. He came out here, and the moment we saw from his first air blasting to the sky, getting lost up in the lights, we just said immediately, there's a new rider and a new superstar. Make sure that you know Jose Torres Gil, you know his name. Then the next year, 2017, he came back and got second place, which was so impressive. He almost beat out Logan Martin, and he's already starting out for a great season. And it's so cool, the fact that at FIS we have that opportunity to really build it out. He actually won the first stop at Simple Session. It's the first contest of the year in Estonia, and you could just see, so that's a 3-year period, and he's just built his way up, and you kind of get your footing this way at the FIS.
We talk about so many amazing athletes coming out here and doing so well in the spine. But like we said, FIS is a world action sports category that tailors to all types of action sports. We've now brought in 2018 as well, we did parkour, we did bouldering, but we had an amazing event already happen yesterday. This is day number 2 so far. So let's take a recap look and see what happened yesterday out here in France. So you see some cool highlights, especially at the end there, under the lights as well. The sun went down for our wakeboard best trick contest. So we had a little bit of, teasing, let's say, yesterday in our contest formats. We started off super strong as well, though. Today we had an absolutely amazing scooter final on a very new park course built by Hurricane Parks, and they do such an amazing job coming out here and delivering new jumping venues basically for all the different sports. They come out here, they bring this beautiful spine mini ramp around, and all the athletes love it so much. But as well, they reshape our BMX park course year after year. They bring a new street skateboard course, and it's just a phenomenal atmosphere that they are bringing to the entire scene.
Yeah, Ryan, you mentioned something that I just want to actually stress with the highlighter. You saw the wakeboarding course. I know you brought it up, but yes, that is right. It's in the river, in the city. talking about the Les River that runs right through Montpellier, and there's an actual wakeboarding course in the river. It's so cool. Hurricane does build all those features. As you said, the same guys that put together our mini ramp spine. That's going to be unbelievable as the crowd is just filtering in. But get here if you can. Honestly, the feast is for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're a rider, you're a non-rider, young or old. We've got 5 days of action in Montpellier, and this is unlike any other action sports festival in the world. So cool, so exciting. And I know even for myself, being a lifetime BMX rider, I get a chance to be exposed to all these different sports. Got to hang out with some of the parkour guys, getting ready to cheer them on over the weekend. It's just really cool how everything comes together. Not only sport, but we also have art featured here. All of our graffiti artists that are doing live murals and painting. It's just an unbelievable atmosphere. You really, as much as we're going to try to put into words, we've got the visual. You've got to get down here and experience the feast.
I mean, it is such an amazing spectacle to see. I even had two friends come out that are heavily influenced in the fashion world from Europe, and you wouldn't typically think that someone like that would come out to action sports, but I mean, they loved it as well. And there's so many different people like this. We have all the different vendors, fashion from all different sports of life, skate companies, different part companies come out for just showcasing. You can go test out scooters, test out airbags on the mountain bike. You can go watch everything under the sun. There's rock climbing, there's different kayaking stuff you can do on the river, but it's just fun the whole entire time. And for 5 days, over 600,000 spectators, a free event. All you have to do is go to fees.fr, register online, and then make sure you guys got that ticket either on your mobile device or print it out, come out to the venue, and you just have a great fun time, either with your friends, by yourself, or with the family. So make sure you make this one happen either this week, and if you can't do it this week, do it next year, because this is one that you do not want to miss.
Yeah, that's a really good point. This week, that's right. We still have more days to go, 3 more days, and as we build towards Sunday, the action generally gets more and more and more stacked because we burn through our qualifiers, our semifinals, and then our finals. So if you are anywhere in the vicinity in Europe, actually, I'm even saying the States, you could book a ticket. I was looking for a friend today. Get down here, not only for the festival that Ryan was talking about, but the city of Montpellier is so beautiful. Today, I had an opportunity to walk through some of the cobblestone streets, and it's literally like every picture book for all my Americans out there, New Yorkers. It's every picture book you envisioned about Europe. Coffee shops, you can have some day beers hanging out on the street. People are having a good time. Gorgeous architecture, and honestly, the city of Montpellier really bridges the gap between action sports and also a traditional European city that has a great infrastructure. It's so cool to see the two worlds come together at FEAST.
Yeah, it's very cool. I mean, you're touching on that. DC, one of our other co-hosts who has come out here as well for the first time, he always likes to look up every place that he's going to, and he's never been to Montpellier before, and he's like, yeah, I was looking up the history of it. Actually, the records say that it dates back to 9 AD was when the first time that it was written, and then he was also wondering, hey, why is the city not actually based on the coastline? Well, because they were getting attacked by pirates, so they decided to move the city back a little bit further from the coastline. Anyways, there's so much history within the city, but as well, where can you say that an event has been going on in action sports or in this world anymore for 22 consecutive years?
Yeah, I mean, that's unbelievable. You know, the thing that you mentioned, our riders aren't going to have to worry about pirates tonight, but they are going to have to worry about some of our fans out there. The fans are mental at FEAST. From everywhere in the city, whether you're getting off at the airport, you're getting at the bus station, you're walking down the street, you could just see all the fans cheering on our riders. But Ryan, we're getting word that our first rider is underway and our competition has actually started right here. So again, just to recap, we have our qualifier going on. The way it's going to work, we have over 90 riders. They're going to be taking 2 runs apiece. Best run is going to wind up counting, and we're going to see which one of our top 16 will move on to the final.
So yeah, as you see there, our first rider up, apologize if I butcher anyone's name tonight, but let me try. Alexander Miroshnikenko on course there for his first one, going hop to fakie into front flip. 0 spin front flip, let's say, on the quarter pipe. So first rider out of the gate, we saw a lot of riders actually on screen there while we were trying to get things going. Like you said, 90 rider qualification. It's going to take a lot out of the organization to get everything set up right now. But we are rolling, and we're going into Valentin Antonuccio's first run out here as he flies around the course. You can just see the audience is packed in there now.
Well, Ryan, again, I'm going to give you props on the new names, just like I'm going to give Valentin props on getting in there. He's got that foot plant to can-can. Again, these are the new styles that we are seeing. It's also very cool for some of our riders who do not have the veteran status of competition. If you're watching at home, you might go, hey, you know what? What would the experience be like my first contest? You're used to seeing riders like Daniel Dares, Alex Colborn, Logan Martin out on the ramp. But right here, we're seeing a lot of new names and faces, so you have that opportunity to witness a rider who's up and coming, how they're going to put them together and piece together their run. So look at our battlefield right there. That is the beautiful double ramp put together where the spine comes together. That is a double barrel coping spine. That ramp is enormously tall. It's almost 7 feet in the center, and it gives riders the opportunity to hit that boost button and blast, hopefully over the 10-foot mark if they could get that juice going.
This is Alec Danaluti on course right now. But you're saying, you're mentioning the actual features on course, but as well, I want you guys to take note of that square light bar around the top. That's like our UFC version for the BMX athletes out here. It's not a very usual one that they do it in pitch black and an outside course, but it makes for a very good spectacle. I love that the FWS does it. It's so different and unique out here to the mini ramp contest. Getting a nice flare out there, and tail up air finishing off that first run.
Yeah, but Ryan, actually what you were referencing by when you said that UFC style bar, you're talking about the lights. So the FWS does it proper with hurricane ramps where they really build the best situations for our riders. And the reason why you see all the lights specifically in that stage fashion is to give a very even light on the ramp. It's easy when you're dealing with a transition out there to maybe have shadows or have a not even canvas for the riders out there. So that light definitely creates that even eye zone for them as we are moving on to our fourth rider of heat number 1.
Yeah, Tugno Hander in. That's as well going to get a couple points more with the judges starting off with some nice tricks instead of just a little drop in. Nice clean look back as well there.
Oh, you see Antonin holding to his shoulder right there, maybe his bicep. But listen to this, there you go, the crowd, the moment they just cheered on our rider, you could see he got back on the horse right here. Bar spin, looking for the tail tap to foot jam. So I don't know if, like you said, that was a little bit of a cramp, maybe some of the jitters. You see he's still holding on to his bicep right there. So Anton having a little bit of difficulty in run 1, but again, this is a 2-run format with the best run counting. So he's going to have another opportunity to hopefully get that bicep checked out and get back on it, because it is that format. So that's the difference that we're going to see is 1 run counts.
Oh, I heard the Russians are coming out. Of course, Alexander, part of that crew. And when we hear Russians to mini ramp, who pops into mind? Kostya Andrei. For me, that's the top one on my list for the Russians out here in mini ramp. A man who can throw the bars faster than you can blink your eyes. Really excited to see as we get down the list what the top professionals have brought out to mini ramp, because we know they're all out there. Super excited to lay it down. Yeah,
Kostya, always a crowd favorite here in the spine competition. His best finish was in 2016. He finished 5th in the contest. He actually last year did not qualify for our final, but Kostya is one to never count out. But we are seeing his influence on the Russians as we have Alexander out there going for his pole of his second run. So as we talked about, our fans pouring in right here in front of Town Hall. You can see there's not a seat in the house, but it's going to wind up for, as it builds, we're actually going to start to see more and more people cram in there like sardines, and the energy will increase as we wind up going through our runs of riders.
Pierre Colsonet right now on course. Getting some nice turn downs, little alley-oop action, 1 foot can. 25 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, there's some OG style right there.
That was a bike flip drop-in.
Putting the freestyle into BMX right there. You can see standing up on the ramp, flipping it around. Little homage to John Engelbert, a.k.a. Lucky. You guys know him from doing that unique pedal back peg stall on the ramp, but Lucky was definitely one of the OG guys who used to flip his bike around, whether it be on drop-ins and or sometimes uniquely sliding across the ground. So we got Alec
nice
back on the course
there.
right here. Got Alec Danieletti on course with a flare tail whip.
That's what I'm talking about. Starting with double tail whips, back-to-back opposite whip, and then going back in with a back flip or with a flare whip. That's the type of stuff we're looking for to get you into the final round.
You guys can hear on course, that is our English MC Catfish. We also have Pierre Wilhelm and Thomas Dibatesse out there who are cheering on our riders and getting the crowd pumped up.
Both judges have their work cut out for them here. Think about how hard it is.
So again, that ramp is such a cool feature out there. The spine is in the middle. That is the showcase. But on the one wall, you can see that we actually have a quarter pipe with a big sub wall. And on either side of those are vert wall rides. So if you didn't have the vert walls, you could call it a sub box. But I'm going to call it a sub wall because you have the option where if you want to jump onto the sub box, you could jump up. And if you want, you could jump back down, or you could even ride down on the vert wall feature. So our fourth rider of heat number one. Again, it doesn't matter if you're in the first heat or the last heat. You are riding against every other rider out there. We've got our 5 judges, those being Van Homen. We have from France, Bibi, a.k.a. Romilad Noro. From Croatia, Igor Vukadinovic. From the UK, Dave Cleworth. And from Slovenia, doing it for Evolution BMX, Luka Kovic. So those are your 5 judges who are basically going to be trying to look for an overall of that 50 seconds on one of the runs. They want to see a rider out there with confidence. They want to see him throwing down a lot of tricks in that time, not getting lost on the course. They want to see progression. They also want to see style out there. So when you wind up putting all of those factors together with speed and height, you could potentially have an unreal run.
Wow.
Well, that looks like the Russian out there, Alexander, was just maybe throwing down one for the fans right there. Going for a 900, I believe. Oh.
Going for it right there. So that's a 720 with an extra 180-degree rotation on it.
So what we're seeing right now, heat number 1 is in the books. Heat number 2 is going to have a moment or two to warm up. It's not a full practice session. I know that we're going to be running through our riders quickly because we have about 90 riders out there. It looks like right now we're going to see, though, the Russian go for maybe another 900 as our other riders get out on the course. When you do have 90 riders, each taking 2 runs up to 50 seconds, you are going to have to wind up moving through it with the guys out there. But let's see if he's going to wind up practicing with their next heat. But this is the perfect opportunity for you to follow us online.
Yeah, you guys can check it out, obviously, on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Get us on Facebook. We do a lot of amazing Facebook Live coverage. That's at fees.official. So you can check the respective handles right there. The Russian in the background going for that 900. Let's see if the crowd pumps him up enough. But as well, if you guys want to check some of the recap action, some behind-the-scenes stuff, watch our Twitter and Instagram. You can see some amazing things on our stories on Instagram there. That's at Fees World. Make sure as well, if you're posting, hashtag your post Fees World or hashtag Fees Montpellier. For this one in particular, we'll be following those hashtags and we'll be trying to keep involved with you guys as much as possible as we go throughout the entire week of events going on here. As well, check out YouTube. Go to YouTube and type in Fees. That's F-I-S-E in the search bar. You'll find our page right there. We have all the recaps, all the results stuff, everything that we had video coverage of, but with a lot more as well. So go check it out there. You'll find a lot of cool content from your top favorite athletes.
Yeah, it's so cool the fact that not only we are interactive in the flesh here in Montpellier, but online as well. I know all of our riders like to see the hashtag because you know what? You get the memories of all your friends that are here, all the fans experience. You can see some tricks and kind of the lifestyle experiences that take place off the course. But that's also what Ryan and myself want to see. If you're home, you're watching, throw down that hashtag. We want to know, we want to check out what's your setup. How are you watching this Feast Montpellier? So just do that hashtag Feast Montpellier, hashtag Feast World, hashtag FWS 2018, and we will keep our eyes peeled for you. Also, if you want to take a moment and give us a shout out of letting who you think are going to win, you could wind up on Instagram. You could send me a follow and a message at Darryl Now, DARRYLNAU, or
you can follow me as well on Instagram. My handle is Late Night Rai Rai, because we do things very well at night. That's LATENIGHTRYRY. So yeah, give us a follow, give us a shout out, let us know what you guys are feeling right now, and make sure you guys hashtag that post because we are following. I'm seeing some guys under the lights right now, front row and center, Chachu 1985, loving Fees Montpellier, he says.
Yeah, just you guys wind up sending us a message. We will give you a shout out because this is a World Series. And we also have fans all over the world who are watching as we have our riders warming up. So if you are just joining us because this is one of our first BMX events of our 2018 stop number 2 of 5 here in Montpellier. And this is our BMX Spine Qualifier. As Ryan and I were discussing, we have about 90 riders who have signed up. We're probably not going to see all 90 qualify. Some riders are here, some riders aren't. We're going to kind of see the picture as we go through it as well. That's the cool part and being so exciting, where you wind up having it open to all riders and not just professionals. But the way it's going to be broken down, we're putting 4 riders per heat. They're going to have 2 runs out on the course. It is a best run format that will wind up taking the top 16 of those riders into the finals. Now, the thing about there being AMs out here, being open to everyone, and the best run format, you're going to see some really exciting riding out here. It's not necessarily an overall approach. It's best run counts. So some riders, you might see strategy. They get one good run down. Say, you know what, I played it a little bit safe. In 2018, I don't know what is safe on a BMX bike. Most riders we're seeing doing tail whips, flips, flares, and everything else. But then the strategy might go, hey, let me turn up the heat, because if we have potentially 90 riders and are only taking 16, I got to make sure my odds are good. So here we go, heat number 2. Rider dropping in on the course right here. Again, there's some new names and faces who Ryan and I have yet to meet ourselves. And it looks like Alex Wheatley is the rider that we are witnessing as he tucks that no-hander and is setting up on the spine right here for a bar spin to foot jam, putting that fancy footwork to use. You see he winds up putting his foot on one side of the fork and then on the other.
He's trying for that double whip up there, just missing the pedals, unfortunately. Still has a few seconds left on the clock as well. This is just a first run for Alex out there. It's tough to keep your composure, especially if you're not used to a contest of this caliber. Imagine entering a contest as an amateur and coming up to an audience this size. I actually don't think most professional athletes have been greeted by such an amazing audience. So it would intimidate even the top professionals, I would say. These guys seem to be dealing with it very well out there.
Yeah, Ryan, that's a really good point that you make. There's a lot of nerves. These riders might seem cool, calm, and collected, but when you wind up getting ready to drop in, knowing that you're going to push yourself to do tricks that maybe you have never done it before, as we're seeing potentially with Roman out here on the course, he is turning it up into the zone as he's almost at that halfway mark with 24 seconds to go. This is a very solid run for Roman.
Yeah, Roman just going a little deep on that spin over the spine, but going back into some nice technical tricks. 3-whip to fakie.
Yeah, so you could have a lot of nerves, but Roman is not showing it at all, going for that full cab 360 out of that tail whip fakie. That is a tongue twister, but imagine doing all those maneuvers on the bike. So that was a great run for Roman right there. We talked about strategy, so he just nailed a solid run, action-packed, beginning to end, a lot of big tricks utilized. He had a couple of foot downs here and there, but still really utilized the clock. So we're going to see maybe he'll switch his strategy up second run. Again, we got everybody tuning in from all over the world right now as we're getting ready to watch Victor Cronenberg's take his first run of heat number 2. I got Andrew Shirley back in the States right now, cheering on all of our riders out there. Andrew's a super talented artist. He's doing a lot to help not only with our riders and athletes, but all of the arts out there. There you go, going down right there. Victor's getting back up on his feet.
Victor really getting some high amplitude up there. I wasn't sure if he was going for the sub box or he was just getting really high. Going for a nice flare though there. Iridescent bike seems to have some Logan Martin influence, I feel, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you have that style. If you wind up going down on your bike, you're not counted out. You can get back up. You do have the clock you're riding against. So a rider definitely will be negatively penalized if they wind up crashing out there. And the goal is to get as close to 100 in points as possible with our 5 judges. But the name of the game on their spine ramp has always been about progression. So it's going to be interesting to see the way that they wind up putting the scores of our riders if they do have a foot down, as opposed to maybe in our World Series event where it's a UCI-sanctioned points race where we have the utmost, highest standards as we are on the road to the Olympics in 2020. Not saying that we don't have those same standards here for the mini ramp, but this is definitely the rock star of BMX event out here, where it's playing into the crowds, and we've seen of years past Mark Webb out there who will wind up maybe going a little past allotted time and get the crowd cheering. So it's definitely the freestyle of our events here at Feast.
Yeah, you mentioned that name there, Mark Webb. Webby, Webby, Webby. We've heard that so many times before. Whoa, beautiful double tail whip. Let me just exclaim from Acosta Irving right now on course. Nice 360 and a flare X up. He is shredding out there. Bar spin. See Manuel on the deck getting to the later half of his run. Beautifully executed turn down into a nice look back on top of the quarter pipe. I've been talking about Webby. Webby is really a man who has made his name out here at the Fees as well on the mini ramp contest. He is one of the highest acclaimed, let's say, stars, the celebrity figure out there in this exact contest. And I think he loves coming out here for the crowd, and the crowd just loves seeing this man show up in Montpellier. We haven't seen the best turnout from Webby in the last couple years. I do know that he's had some difficulties in life and figuring it out, but coming back, he always seems to have the best attitude when it comes to this event, and I think he's just going to put on a show once again under the lights here for Montpellier.
Yeah, Webby for the last bunch of years has been battling a lot of injuries. There's a really cool documentary you can check out which chronicles his back injury that he had several years ago. It was actually, we premiered it in New York City at the Bicycle Film Festival with Brett Barber and everybody else, but it's so cool to see that behind the scenes of a rider, not just the fame when a competition's going on, but when the lights settle and you have that injury and you got to be with yourself, and you can see Mark with his family. It's a really cool documentary. I believe it's online if you just search Mark Webb Not only will you see a ton of videos with him out there, but you could also check out that documentary. But right now, let's talk about Alex Wheatley going fakie with the tail whip. Oh! Unfortunately fell right there, but I dug that he did get a lot of pop on that bunny hop. It's cool style. You saw a little bit of a street style in that transition. Oh, not a lot of speed right there. So that's going to be Alex Wheatley's second run. But again, we were talking about nerves out on the course. I know a lot of the riders seem cool, calm, collected, but there is a lot going on. You have 50 seconds in the ring. I know you mentioned UFC earlier, but it's basically like you're getting out there and you are going to battle. I know in mixed martial arts it's against another opponent, but right here at this spine ramp, it's against the ramp, it's against your bike, and it's also against yourself. You want to do your best out there. If you're a rider, you think about this event all year long. There's no other competition like our spine ramp with the crowd. So you want to pour it on, you want to do your best, and you want to make sure that you can roll away saying, I gave it my all. Because if you don't, it's not the best feeling, and every rider knows if you don't pull a trick and you went to battle and you went to war and you roll away bleeding or limping away, you want to make sure you nail it.
That's what Roman was looking for right there. He overshot that 360 bar spin, and now he got it back in this run. Unfortunately, under-rotated the next part of that trick, which was the flare, but still going for a beautiful 360 whip to fakie. Oh, and going for that full cab 540 spin.
So Roman getting a little bit tangled out there, but we said he did have a solid first run, and until we start seeing the scores come in and we wind up going through the pack, we're not going to know where anyone stands right now. So I know that we're leaving this in the judges' hands, and right now we're kind of setting the stage. Our riders are getting scores, regardless if we're putting them up on the screen or not, but we will see the full picture once we wind up blazing through the pack of riders.
And look at that beautiful crane shot of just one half of our contest venue right there beside the mini ramp course. It flows out all the way to the street. I mean, you haven't seen anything like this, really. So exciting to watch all the time, and it's such a great platform as well for these amateur athletes to come out into this open qualifier and do justice like this. I mean, such amazing talent. Look at this.
Yeah, talk about a talent. One of the biggest names coming from Latvia out here, Victor Kronenbergs, definitely has been a name that we've heard before out at Simple Session, which is a big event in Eastern Europe, which takes place at the start of the year. It's kind of the first BMX event that goes down. I've had the honor of calling Victor's runs, but this is right here. We're trying to call him going for that tail up to foot jam as it's 3, 2, 1. Aha. Not enough. You hear our on-site MC, Catfish, saying so close, and that indeed he was. Going for that brakeless tail whip to foot jam. Trying to look for that sneaker to stick right in that front wheel so you could wind up, instead of using a front brake, which his bike does not feature, you use that foot to find the balance point to hop back in the ramp. So we got Acosta Irving coming in. Mexico, Veracruz is where Acosta calls home. Gonna say a shout out to all the Mexican BMX family cheering on Acosta right now. Yeah, great two-hit combo. No-hander to bar spin. Yo!
Wow, that was some nice pop as well on that flare whip. Bar spin to foot to tire tap, pardon me. 360 bar spin over the spine. Nice foot jam as well in the little quarter.
So right now we're actually seeing some endurance for Acosta out here. 50 seconds is a long time to be out in the ring riding. And you see Acosta not slowing down. There is an opposite air with the 1-foot tabletop, utilizing the ramp in both directions. Yo, top side, no-footed can-can. Kicking both feet over it. Final thoughts right here. 180! Quick little foot down, but still a good run from Acosta.
Okay. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup, messieurs.
I love the fact of how global the FIS is. We're seeing on our road to the Olympics all of the BMX riders from around the world really start to come out in droves and represent their countries. There is that double tail whip you saw. He was not able to get the wheel to spin around at a fast enough rotation. Missed the pedals, wound up tipping over a little bit. Nice style on that can-can tire grab. 360 bar spin over the spine. 360 tail whip. You see he has that free coaster that you see Pat Casey, who is yet to ride, utilize a lot. Your rider's able to coast backwards without having his cranks engaged. That is due to a hub setting on the back wheel, or I should say having a specific back wheel that enables that option. You see Victor Kronensberg's going for that flare tail whip right there, so smooth. And there's our Mexican rider firing back with his own flavor on the same trick, not able to get his feet to the pedals. But the sea of people, the fans here are flooding in. Now it is further than the eye can see, or I should say is further than the eye than our camera can zoom out. As this will progress, you will see all the way back to the buildings, all the way back to the Les River. Ryan, if you and I listen off camera, we could just hear the fans right now roaring through the streets of Montpellier. And you know what's wild? This is day number 2 of 5. We're not even at the weekend yet. This is our qualifier. We actually have our final, which is taking place on Saturday. So we have 2 more days before the weekend, and that is going to be totally nuts. This is just the beginning. This is the qualifier. This is our first BMX event of our second stop, the big show in Montpellier. So that wrapped up heat number 2. We should be having our riders out on the course right now warming it up, but it looks like right now going to go for the glory.
Oh, that's an interesting one. That's a 180 double downside tail whip.
I believe that's what he was going for. A little hard to see from our house, but we might get a look for another attempt.
Kane Mitchell. Is Kane riding? Matt Stockton, we need you guys up on the radar right now.
Right there, that is Brian Fox, the man that did the 1080 over the spine at 360s. I love his intensity, always pumps up the crowd and his fellow rider.
Oh! Going down hard on that one.
Listen to the love and appreciation. Thankfully back up on his feet, putting the double thumbs up to the sky. We say it all the time, BMX riders are cut from a different cloth. Definitely some strong riders out there.
Oh, man. We've seen some hard crashes today, honestly, but just these guys are tough as nails. But now we are moving, hopefully, to our second wave of athletes as they're training on deck. I mean, yes, previously you were just mentioning as well, on Saturday, we're going to be having the finals for the BMX Freestyle Spine Ramp, and that's going to be happening as well under the lights at 9:45. But that's not the only BMX contest we have going. Tomorrow, it starts off with the UCI BMX Freestyle Park World Cup Women's Final. That's going to be at 10:30 in the morning. So guys, make sure you put that one on your calendar and tune in tomorrow morning, because that's a nice one you guys want to watch. Have some amazing riding coming from the female BMX scene out here in France.
So proud of all of our women riders who have just been stepping up the game of BMX over the last few years. It's so cool. I kind of feel like I had a first-hand experience to see over the decades. That's right, decades, because when I first started riding BMX, it was racing, and I remember there were a lot of females that were charging the course in the NBL in the States, specifically Marie McGilvery. She was one of the female riders who would jump the pro sections at all the contests. Then we'd see throughout the years Freestyle wind up building and building with all of our women riders. And it's so cool now, especially with the road to the Olympics, that we have our women riders really out in the largest numbers we've ever seen. We actually had our qualifier yesterday, and we had over 30 women riders out here. So you could just see it building. But right now we are watching our riders warm it up for our next heat out here, building their runs, trying to think, hey, what is my game plan going to be? And I got to tell you, whenever you see a bearded long hair out on the course with no gloves, I always get psyched.
And a leather motorcycle vest jacket. I'm getting super excited to see what that name is that pops up on screen. And that's the fun of this entire event. It's an open qualifier, which means that we don't have a cap on how many people are allowed to qualify. They say if you want to come enter, we'll make a spot for you. This is at the very end of the day, and we're going to make our employees go until it's done. And we love doing it because it's a fun event, and we love seeing all the new talent that comes out here. So let's see these new names pop up on screen.
Yeah, and it's exciting for us because we don't even have a start list in front of us, and we are just seeing that this is Kane Mitchell, and you can tell from his first air he means business. There is a lot of bike control for Kane Mitchell. You could just see the way that he got the height, and he's keeping it rolling. I believe that was a triple bar spin into a no-handed flare. Wow, Kane Mitchell making his presence known in his qualifying run. With that inverted flare, opposite air, Kane Mitchell, no-hander. Digging the style, even on his setup airs over the spine. We saw that on his first hit, and he's been
nice amplitude there as well.
Just making direct contact with each wall. Final 5, 360. Kane Mitchell at that bar spin, opposite direction, and at the buzzer. Big run for Kane Mitchell, and rewarded with a huge roaring round of applause.
Solid run, basically no mix-ups in that one. One of the first runs that we've seen with that fast movement throughout the whole entire run, and held that stamina right to the end.
Yeah, Kane coming from Great Britain. You could just hear the crowd going nuts. Yes, this is who I was hoping was going to be on the course, Matt Stockton. This rider is a definite badass. Really great style. Ratty Matty out on the course. Going backwards.
270 disaster there.
You saw he stalled up on his pedal right there, cross-armed, grabbing the opposite grip right there, taking his arms off. We are seeing the unique style out here from Stockton. Yeah, this is what I love, the fact that we got our open qualifier. You're seeing a different style riding than you normally do here at the feast. Going for a wall tap to tire grab. Such a unique combo, and just right now, soaking it in. Taking in this moment right here.
Ratty Matty. Feel like this is a trail boss.
Freddie, you ready?
Freddie, you ready here? I think next up is going to be Freddie Smith. Freddie Smith on course, a nice bar spin coming into that spine, the 360 tuck no-hander.
Yeah, Freddie, big tuck no-hander out of the tombstone.
Freddie doing that transfer from the vert wall into the sub box. That's what I was talking about. Calling it a sub wall because you have that option. Going upside down and around. Freddie Smith out here. Slipping a little bit of his pedals right there. But if a rider does almost have a crash, if they can keep that momentum rolling like Freddie did, able to recover at this speed, that is what you want to do. Bar spin in, bar spin out of that tire tap and wind up washing out to the side.
So Freddie right there, you see, having fun out there on course. Next man up is Mal Frey. Ismail, just holding on to that tail whip right there.
There we we go, halfway through, opposite no-hander. Good style right there, taking, I believe, a foot and a handoff, grabbing the seat, going off to the side, saying, you know what, I can also do the flares. That is the backflip 180, but still getting stylish over the spine. Final thoughts right here, 180. Aha. So going down right there again is 16 riders are going to wind up moving on. So as we wind up progressing through the pack, we're going to see our top finishers from last year, also our higher qualified riders in the UCI points standing. So technically we might see some more consistent riders out on the course, or names that you've heard more that wind up coming with some experience. But we're going back to the top of heat number 3 for Kane Mitchell. You hear the crowd going nuts out here. It looks like Kane's already becoming a crowd favorite. Yo, big height on that no-hander.
Real nice extension as well into a beautiful 360 double bar spin.
Super low flare.
Kane really getting it going. Like you said, some great speed and amplitude into that and hitting transition perfectly. 360 tuck no-hander into a flare tuck no-hander. Fast plant flare right there on the quarter pipe.
Wow, taking a page out of Jamie Bestwick's book. Here we go. Suicide no-hander, pinching the seat with the knees. There you see a different version of that no-hander after the bar spin. Final thoughts, what's Kane gonna do? 360 at height, 1 foot table. And it looks like that is beyond the buzzer for Kane Mitchell.
Wow, one of the nicest runs, I have to say, that we have seen so far on camera today.
So Kane smashing 2 solid runs out there, but again, it's best run count, so the judges are gonna pick only one of those 2 runs for his points. But right now, we are about to witness the crowd roar for the USA rider of Maddie Ratty. But what is going on?
Maddie Ratty. Maddie Ratty, censorship on screen.
Well, you know what they say, sex sells, and Maddie Ratty right there spreading it out on that inverted foot plant. Up and over the spine, Maddie Ratty bringing his own style here. Let's be careful on how far we zoom in on that camera number 2. So Maddie letting it all rip out here, really showing his colors. The crowd, Maddie Ratty making some definite new fans out there. I think especially with the ladies.
That's Ratty Matty.
Ratty Matty on Instagram. You can go follow him. I might do that one myself.
Yeah, you can follow some awesome riding for the NorCal grown rider. It's, as you said, Ratty Matty. That's 2 T's in Ratty, 1 T in Matty.
From the USA is about to drop in.
But he's going to wind up tagging in another USA rider, this time fully clothed. Freddie Smith is going to roll in. But definitely psyched to see it. Ratty Matty out here. Awesome rider to wind up watching on his Instagram, but hopefully you get a chance to ride with him in the flesh. Definitely a fun guy with his own set of style. Freddie Smith up and over the roller, tuck no-hander. So we talk about a rider not wanting to get lost within his time that's on the course, and that basically means that you wind up utilizing all walls, knowing where you're going, what tricks you're going to do, and not having any dead walls where you either land flat or hang up a little bit or wind up saying, where am I going to go?
Freddie getting some tech tricks now on the lip, not just the air tricks, something as well that the judges are going to note.
So time is there for Freddie Smith. You know, I know that Matty Ratty didn't have a solid run in terms of tricks, but he definitely had his own style out on the course. And style does count for something, so hopefully we'll see Matty wind up progressing into the next set of runs. But we talk about FWS is for everybody, and the fact that we got this open qualifier, you have the opportunity to see some riders out here who wind up putting the freestyle in it and do it a little bit more for the fun aspect rather than the competition.
Ooh, Ismail Freeze really shredding out their double tail up and then into combinations, tail to bar spin I saw there. Those two big tricks definitely will be taking the eyes of the judges.
You see that fishtail right there. He does not have brakes on the bike. Able to wind up skidding that back wheel to adjust the speed and went over the roller as opposed to the spine. So, you know, during that allotted time, a rider can basically choose to ride any feature on the ramp that they want. They don't have to go over the spine once. If they want, they could literally go over the roller every single time. They could ride a quarter pipe, they could stop, they could pogo on the deck for the whole time, but it's really just trying to utilize the confidence, and you're also being judged against all the other riders. So the creativity is a huge part of it, but it's utilizing within that clock. If you do one trick out on the course and another rider does 20 great ones, well, most likely it's going to be the rider that could put together 20 tricks in that allotted time as opposed to one great trick on one feature.
Exactly.
Well, you can see right there, Matty's got the pants back on, and he is walking off the course as we've got our next heat of riders who should be entering into the arena right now to warm it up for a few minutes, get the blood flowing before they wind up taking their 2 runs.
Here they're just trying to get a few of the athletes on course as well. It's hard to manage 100 riders.
We're going to take a look at some of the highlights right here. Big toboggan. Yeah, there you go. Loft in that flare. Great distance traveled on both of those tricks. Not only the tabletop, but also the flare. There you go. There was Matty cross-grabbing with his grip, taking his arm off. Let's be cautious with Matty. What we have a slow-mo and what we don't, especially on that zoom
really
cam.
let's be cautious right there on that one. I'm glad my coffee cup is... The coffee cup was in perfect position that I didn't need to view any of what was on the screen, but I know is on your screen. So censorship, viewer beware if you guys are watching in maybe the conservative countries of North America.
Well, definitely.
But here in France, we do it this way, you know.
Definitely psyched to have Matty out here. Again, BMX is meant to be fun as much as we do focus on competitions. That is one thing that the FWS is known about. And specifically, we got the lifestyle and the party going on. Every night we have big parties planned. Last night, Mark Webb and who you hear on the mic, our USA announcer, Catfish, had a big party at one of the bars down here. So that is also maybe why some of our riders have not been showing up, or it takes a moment for them to get their bikes pieced together out on the ramp for their practice. Because a big part of the feast is partying, having a good time, celebrating all of our action sports. And I know a lot of riders sometimes can wind up getting caught up in the moment. They're having a blast out there with all their friends, making a ton of new friends. And sometimes when you're out there partying, you go a little bit too hard off the course. And you got to make sure that you can get it together to get on the course. But right now it looks like our 4 riders are hoping to get their run on. Again, they're just going to get that blood flowing, and we are going to keep it rolling. So the exciting thing when you do have an open qualifier like this, for Ryan and myself, we actually don't even have a order start list out there. So the cool thing is Catfish and our on-course commentators are basically wrangling together our riders, and we are finding out as we go.
Just want to take a moment to thank everybody, the organization of the FWS, Hurricane Parks, and at our representative sponsors, SFR. Thanks for putting this one on, as well as Montpellier, Mediterranean Metropole, and Honor for the Brave. Tobias Frigon.
The German utilizing that coping spine right there. You saw him go over, put his peg on one side, and then revert around, foot jam up on the wall. Yo! Super smooth right there on that flare.
Yeah, no-handed foot jam fader.
Utilizing some of that German precision right there. Ice pick, tail tap, ice pick, bonk on the way in. 10 seconds to go. Wall ride, double tire, 360 over the spine. I believe he caught his peg on the way back in. Here we go. Final thoughts. One hand X, and that is going to wrap it for the German. So we talked about strategy right there. Getting a good run in, basically utilizing the full 50 seconds. Thankfully, no crashes. It's going to be interesting to see, hey, do I do a whole different strategy out there? Maybe if a rider's like, you know what, I got done everything I want to do in that run. Sometimes we'll start to see maybe some quote-unquote best tricks come out. Maybe you'll see somebody strip down their pants and ride in a thong. You never know what might happen
Just
in
a
run
thong.
number
That was a
two.
leopard thong. Gomez Anderson on the course right now. Super sticky tires. It just look extra grippy to me, like bubble gum. Getting that nice flare. You know, there's so many different training facilities going on these days. It's really phenomenal to see the athletes come up and be able to practice all these tricks as well and not have to go to the hospital like I was used to doing while I was a kid learning how to ride. As well, notice if you guys are in the venue, they have a beautiful airbag set up. You guys can line up and try and shred that one as well. See how it is. Maybe you guys have one at your local area as well. Community center might invest in one, but it's great other forms and methods like foam pits and resi ramps to learn all these tricks as well. You don't have to just go out there anymore and risk breaking everything.
You know, Ryan, I was just, as you were saying that, I was thinking, you know what, it's so cool somebody could come here to the feast. They're not in the competition, but they could hit the airbag. And then it was like dawning on me. I was like, wait a minute, I've got my bike here.
Yeah.
That sounds really fun. I think tomorrow, after the women's contest, I'm going to go down and I'm going to hit that airbag. Maybe be a little bit like Lethal Weapon, right? You had that big airbag, jumped out of the window into it. Right? It's always been a dream to say, hey, could you fly in your bike in that? Right now, though,
Jack Borthwick going down a bit hard there.
So Jack going down. What we're going to do is have our medics come out and just take a moment. All right, thankfully back up to his feet. Look at that, almost looks fully recovered right there. Sometimes a rider just needs to grab his bearings, and that's what we're seeing for Jack. He's going to continue riding.
It's so strange sometimes how this
You know, you get that burst of adrenaline that could come in. Holy cow.
Okay, so, yeah, okay, start the run off with a big crash. Please, it gets you going. Good. Going for the double tail whip to tire tap on deck there.
It's almost as if he did a bait and switch and another rider went in for him when he wound up going down.
Double tail whip to nose jam.
Big ups, though, for Jack getting back on it after crashing like that. You know, you can definitely go through the mental roller coaster emotions out there if on your first run. Right out of the start, you wind up crashing, falling. You feel injured. You probably are injured, but then that adrenaline kicks in and you're able to get back going.
Thibault Paneville up next for his 50-second run. .360 bar spin over the spine and out of the gate.
Yeah, and you could tell when a rider's got a lot of bike control and power, the way that he was able to throw the bars, and right there just confirming that conclusion at the height on the toboggan. When a rider even does a trick that might be considered a more basic element, but they can do it with a lot of power, finesse, style, and that height, you could just tell you've got an experienced rider right there. And Thibault is following that up with just wall after wall, big tail whip at height, transferring from the vert wall into the sub. He's getting a little bit lost out there, but you see he's able to recover back blasting. 10 seconds. Thibault coming here. Ooh, a lot of height. final thought coming in. He's saying, you know what? Shaking his head a little bit, but still had that power out there. That's definitely one thing that this ramp can harness is power and speed. If a rider puts those two things together, pumping the transition, you get height. That's the equation. Speed, power equals height. This ramp can definitely boost. We said we saw that 2 years ago with Jose Torres Gil on his first air. We said a new superstar is born. Last year he got second place. And you could just tell when a rider hits the ramp, usually on that first air, what their ability is.
Tobias Freigang right now, the German on course with a beautiful flare. Tuck no-hander into a toboggan, transferring as well, actually has to step the difference on that quarter pipe. Little over tooth into a nice wall foot jam there.
Definitely into that ice pick to no-hander. Such an unconventional combination. Let's see, where's he going? Doing a little bit of a Nate Wessel-esque, well, Nate didn't pogo, but definitely did a long style ice pick in one of the intros of an old props right there. You know, all my old school riders are saying, what up, Nate Wessel? So Toby getting his second run right there. His bike and a mustache are going to be exiting off the ramp. The fate will be in our 5 judges' hands.
Gomez Anderson coming back on his course for the second time. Shooting to go for some amplitude and style versus largest tricks in the book right now. As well, it is freestyle, so we let the riders express their own creativity. It doesn't always have to just be about the top tricks in the industry. I mean, I grew up watching very talented BMX athletes like Corey Bowen.
Looking for that burner, get that, you got 10 seconds.
Shred the dirt trails and not do the largest combinations, but had some of the most phenomenal style, and I still hope that deep down that is the essence of these freestyle sports.
Yeah, you can actually see those tires, I believe, are Merit tires, and I know that I've got Montana, Ricky, and the Merit boys right now watching at the New Jersey warehouse, cheering on any rider that is rocking some Merit. But now we got Jack Borthwick coming in for his second run. Hopefully it goes better than the first. An Australian rider, you know that the Australians, much like the Russians, are out of their minds when it comes to BMX and going burly. Double tail whip. Oh, looking for the stall. I don't know if it was a tail tap he wanted. He did have some forward momentum, so it might have been a manual. So Jack, we're going to see, this might be a little bit of the different strategy we're talking about. He might be going for a big trick, like right there. Pogoing on that front wheel, looking for the tail whip variation coming down in.
I believe he's going for an opposite tail whip in.
It's possible on a bicycle. See what he's gonna lace us with.
So foot jam. Oh, it's a bar spin in this time.
And it is time for you, Jack. Show some love to the young Aussie, Jack Borthwick. That class will certainly make the highlight reel. That was crazy. I'm so glad you're okay.
Yeah, thankfully Jack back on it as we wind up plowing through, checking off the box at heat number 4, run at number 2. So we got that 50 seconds on the clock. A rider doesn't necessarily have to use all 50 seconds, but if they can wind up cruising through confidently at the end, not lost, not crashing, that is always rewarded. Yeah, tremendous height. That's what we talked about, the power and confidence right there. Look at this. great combination, toboggan to a tuck no-hander. You traditionally don't see those two tricks together because on a toboggan you have to press your bike forward, leaning back over behind the seat, and then a tuck no-hander, you have to put your weight forward with your front end up. So not only does your weight change on your bike, but the way that the angle is pointed down to up.
Wow. Okay. There was a fire in that run. Merci beaucoup Simon Banani. On enchaîne directement avec les riders suivants. Martin Abada, Victor Munoz, Thomas Villers.
So let's take a look at some highlights right here. Up and around on that flare, able to land high towards the coping. If a rider does that, the coping is the top part of the ramp that you can see that white piece of pipe on. A rider can land up high with their momentum, able to wind up cruising with increased momentum, like you can see there coming in off the foot jam on the sub box, setting up for that 360 bar spin.
Here we see a fakie trick. Oh, that's what happened. That was a hard one, actually. Wow, that was just completely missed the takeoff to the spine. Yeah, very glad that he's okay after that one.
So, Ryan, I like seeing these warm-ups, trying to look on the ramp, saying who is potentially out there and going to ride. I know that so many different riders wound up getting here today, and we haven't had a chance to personally see them yet or hang out. So for us, it's exciting to say, hey, who is going to be here? I know that we have a list of around 90 riders or so. Some have entered, some have not, so we don't necessarily know who are going to be in the heats or who's on the deck. It's always exciting for us to know that too. So you're looking at the warm-up right here. If you're just joining us, this is our open qualification for our BMX spine ramp. This is for our pro riders, but you're also seeing some riders who have not entered a pro competition before. We have almost 90 riders signed up. We are going to be taking 16 and moving on. Doesn't matter if you're in the first heat or the last heat, you are battling it out with your other rider, and the top best single scores of 2 runs will count for moving on to that final.
We are ready. It's good to see you then.
So we can see all of our fans now just really packing in. You can see behind the barricades all the way to Town Hall. That's right, that building in the distance is Town Hall. That's how cool Montpellier is backing all of our action sports. Imagine in your town hall in your city around the world that you could actually ride your BMX bike there. But here in Montpellier said, let's build a ramp. Let's build one of the best ramps in the world.
Martin Habada on course, some great amplitude right there on the toboggan.
Yeah, Martin, opposite wall ride. You can see he's got his pegs on his right side of his bike, no pegs on the left. Yeah, Habada with that flare.
As you can see, we get further down the rider list. The riders seem to be more and more comfortable with those big tricks.
Yo, there you go, going smooth on that backwards coast. Again, utilizing that free coaster hub. We talked about 2 for 2, but this time putting that 360 cabin around. Showing the confidence as we talked about. 5 seconds. See Martin saying, you know what, I'm going to waive the rest of my time off. But that was a very good run right there. He had the 2 consistent fakie tricks over the spine, landing backwards. That spine's around the 7-foot mark in height. And it is steep, let me tell you that. It might not look like a big spine, but if you are not used to jumping a taller than 6-foot spine, when you get up on that ramp, it takes a moment to say, hey,
yeah, I mean,
let me get in there.
They do call it, well,
yes,
we can still call it kind of a mini ramp, but Victor Munoz,
the big man himself, Victor on course, can't step through. Victor, a very talented rider. Santiago, Chile, he calls home. Had the opportunity to go down and ride at Araucano Park, now known as Signal Park, with Coco Zorita, all the locals. We had a chance to see Victor Munoz showcase his riding down in Santiago. Yo, kicking that frame around, getting right back on the pedals. Bar spin over the spine with 20 seconds to go. Quick over toothpick. So right now we're going to see some technique and strategy out of Victor. This is his first run. It looks like he wants to get a solid one in the books. And I'm going to be really interested to see what he winds up doing in his second run, considering that he's gotten a solid first run down. Nice going, Victor. Victor falling way after the buzzer there. That is not going to impact his score because that was after time. It's nice to see if a rider does go down, it's after the buzzer. So Victor right there putting down a solid run. Keep your eyes peeled as well into that crowd. I can see so many riders and filmers and fans down there we have yet to see on the course. I believe that might be Victor Peraza down there that I can see.
Catfish always does such a great job of keeping his energy, but not only his voice, but everyone else out there so on their feet in the crowd, ready to pump up the athletes. And that's something that really is necessary out there on course for these riders to get excited. I think he maybe has a flat. Yeah, unfortunately got a flat out there.
Yeah, that's disappointing. If you get that flat tire, there is no redo. If you wind up having your bike or something go wrong, we don't hit pause on the clock. You got the 2 runs. You got to hope that your bike cooperates during that entire time.
Another guy with a lot of fans out here at the PTC consistently in Montpellier, year in and year out. And he is a treat to watch on his bicycle.
You can see the Spain jersey rocking loud and proud for Daniel. This is one rider who's going to light up the sky. Yeah, you could just tell again, first wall, a lot of confidence and height over that spine. You see the way he's able to adjust over that vert wall. Beautiful style in that 360, taking one hand and one foot off, just floating over the spine. Yeah, big extension on that Superman seat grab straight into a flare. That is not easy to do, to link the two together.
No, and especially on a spine ramp to do a Superman like that, it's no gap to travel apart. You have to get really connected away from your bike and then back together again. Whoa! Ow, that one hurts the leg.
So let's take a look at some of the madness on that Superman seat grab. So difficult to get the extension on the spine. You're only traveling 2 or 4 inches forward. It's the length of 2 pieces of coping together, and you got to get the extension forward and get the bike back under you. So look at that Catfish getting a little bit of a crowd check. You could just tell the party is starting to pick up as we wind up plowing through and checking our riders off our heats as we progress through our 90 riders to see which 16 will be moving on.
I think we're about 60 deep now.
So we got Martin Habata back on course. Foot jam. Oh, glad he got back in, setting up for that 360 bar spin. Oh, Martin going down on that flare. You saw he wound up drifting his back end over the deck, hung up with his back wheel. That's when you don't land all the way into that transition. Went over the bars, but thankfully not injured where he's not able to get back up and continue. And Martin right there, not as consistent on the fakie as he was in his first run. So Martin having a little bit of difficulty in run number 2. It's definitely his first run is going to be the score that sticks. Final thought right here, up, over, fakie. Oh. Even though he didn't pull it, I got to say that was cool style right there on that 360. Just flopping his body weight forward like a fish right there. There we go. You see Brian Fox down there. I believe he was actually being the unofficial, maybe Instagram filmer of some of our riders, grabbing their phone, helping get some flicks and footage out there.
Fox, such a good character out there, down there, getting the crowd warmed up.
Well, the crowd is ready to roar into a boil right here for Victor Munoz. Yeah, 360 tabletop. Again, we talked about strategy, turning it up with the double tail whip. Yeah, Victor.
Downside tail up into a bar spin over the spine. Nice wall tap with his rear tire there, holding strong on the foot jam.
Yeah, and you just see Victor is not lost on the course at all. He knows what he wants to do confidently on each wall, including that 360 unlook down. Victor with the tail whip now. These are going to be crucial moments here for Victor. Again, we're only taking 16.
Going for a little ice back in after that manual on deck. Gathering time for one more flare right on the buzzer. True veteran out there.
So you can see that right now, Thomas Grinbergs doing it for Par BMX.
All right, let's do it.
Latvian riders everywhere throwing up the double deuce, saying, I'm taking the second run. Yeah, Grinbergs. You can tell there's a lot of height. Big no-hander. Matching that height with the tricks. Yes, tabletop. I believe that was at the height of the railing on top of the sub-box. Grinberg is building momentum with this run. Bar spin over the spine, slipping a pedal, but recovering right there. Throwing down a DP air. Little ode to Jay Miron right there. Not the full flavor of Jay by any means, but just paying a little bit of homage. Yeah, alley-oop bar spin. Going up for that Vader. Burning on the front wheel. And that is time. Big 360 after the buzzer. Not going to count towards his score. But it's definitely a consistent run out there. No big crashes, no big problems.
Et il nous en reste encore un messieurs dames dans cette poussée. Dernière heure à passer, il nous vient de Burgos.
Going back up top there. Daniel Narin ready to drop in.
Daniel had a great first run. He definitely had the style. Definitely had the great style out on the course. I love the one-handed, 1 foot, 360 over the spine. Hopefully we get another taste. Oh, but that was a different strategy. Run number 2, turning it up with that back foot turn down. Looks like he went down hard right there, going to wave it off. You know,
I don't know, I might be seeing ghosts, but I was pointing something out. I thought I saw Ryan Gutler in the back.
You potentially might have, and that's what I said. You got to keep your eyes peeled out on the ramp. You could see even down in the crowd right there, riders who have yet to go. That was Pat Casey. We also had Bryce Tryon. There's definitely a good chance that Gutler is in the house. I know that he loves being here at the contest, cheering on the riders. And who knows, maybe we'll even get a surprise. Maybe he'll be in this heat. I hope he does, because he's very talented.
Well, I would love to. That was one of my favorite riders, and I have not seen him out in contests for a while at any events that I was doing, so that would be an interesting one for me.
Yeah, it'd be cool to have him back out on the course. So again, this is our warm-up. We are just checking off the boxes through our names, and hopefully 16 will be checked onto finals. Here's a look at that 180.
Utilizing that free coaster into the full cab 360.
Ooh, good style right there. Superman seat grab. Getting that extension. 1 foot X up the table. That was a great way to open up his first run. There is Victor Munoz stepping through at the can-can. Double tail whip. Really great runs from Victor as well. Kicking that downside whip. Backflip turn down, and then you just saw missing The re-entry smoothly right there, falling, not getting back up. I don't believe he was injured, but maybe a little bit disappointed in the second run. Look at the fans out here. This is what it's all about.
Et encore plus chaud quand c'est le fils, donc Montpellier pour les riders suivants, il va falloir mettre un peu plus, et encore plus, et encore plus, et encore plus le bazar. Donc je compte sur chacun d'entre vous pour chauffer son camarade par l'épaule et se réchauffer, sauter un peu, et faire du bruit parce qu'on va envoyer le lourd. Voilà, c'est ça qu'on veut. Okay guys.
Well, if we are taking it in just like you, this is such a spectacle, and for a BMX rider, and Ryan, I know you get to go to a lot of the contests as well, there really is nothing like this spine event out here. It's the showcase, it's the party, it's the big show, it's the place to be. So if we wind up taking it in just like you.
It's still only just the qualifiers. I mean, if you guys want to make sure you see all your replay action, got to check out all the social media channels. You have to sift through there, but I'm sure you're going to find replays of everything. If you don't find it on one of those that were in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, go over to YouTube. Type in FISE, that's FISE. You will find our page. You might be able to watch some replay action like that beautiful 540 from Levi Wiedemann on course right now. 20 seconds on course. Catfish is yelling. He's waking me up out there. Beautiful 540 to disaster. It looks like he was going for a possibly even 540 tire tap into a 7. I don't know.
It's a little hard to see from our perspective. He might have threw the bars on there.
Levi Wiedemann.
Gonna give a shout out to Kevin Porter, one of the BMX riders from Chicago, who definitely threw down some wild spin moves into disasters in and out. I know many riders cannot match the style of Kevin Porter, but we're seeing some of his influence out here. Jacob Bailey on course. Look at this. We talked about confidence, and that is one way to charge it. Digging the style, the red pants, also with the white shirt and white tires. Going somewhere between a 540 and a flat spin flare. Invert for extra points. Jacob out here just rolling high speed action, double tire ride. Brakeless bandit on the ramp. Yeah, Jacob up and over the spine. Boom! I think Jacob popped out and then said, oh, I had a few more seconds on the clock. Let's see if he's able to squeeze it in. This is after time. Wow. Jacob going for a wild style 540 flare. So instead of the traditional flare, which is a backflip 180, it looked like he was going for a 540 flare. Spinning that 540 degrees in with the backflip. Jaden Chipman on course. First time we're seeing Jaden Chipman of the competition, because that is his first run. Yeah, pressing that front wheel up against the sub box, tail whip over the spine. Jaden coming back with the foot jam to bar spin. Look at this, racking up the points on each wall. Jaden not having any dull airs out there and getting tech with that foot jam to tail whip. Wow, Jaden right now, if he can keep this rolling, I could see him being rewarded with the big score, because consistency is the name of the game. Double tail whip, he's got that flip fakie. Oh, keeping it rolling. All right, Jaden, and that is time right there. Big ups, Jaden. You can tell he's psyched on that run. Definitely a good feeling. Like we said, if a rider winds up sometimes doing their run, they get everything out of the way. We've seen in the past riders say, you know what, that was all I got. I got nothing else. I did it all.
Exactly.
That's always what you want to hear.
That must be such a good feeling. I've never had that in my entire contest competitive history. Could never get it done right then, but that means I just was training wrong, I think. These guys really got it figured out here in 2018. I've been watching their favorite athletes. You know, on the Word map, you can go out and check out all this stuff on slow motion, figure out how they're all doing it. You can go find everything online and watch these recaps. I didn't have that ability back then, but now they do, and they're really utilizing it. Sean
Wardell on course. We talked about favorite athletes. Sean last year, I was so impressed with his riding. He joined us at a couple of the stops and definitely made his presence known where you could tell his power of riding. I hope. Oh! Ooh.
Really getting the wind out of him on that one.
Sean going down hard right there. Thankfully, back up to his feet. Hopefully he'll be able to hit the recharge button and get out for run 2. As we mentioned, Sean really was crushing it last year. I believe in Croatia, in Budapest, he wound up tearing through the course. So impressed with his riding. And the fact that he's here, you see him in the spine ramp, hopefully in his second run. And hopefully in qualifying as well for a BMX park competition.
Levi Wiedemann on course. I believe that name would represent the Netherlands. 360 over the spine there. Coming back. Whoa! 900 with ease into a bar spin. Nice foot jam. He had a couple setup errors, and I was wondering what was going on in his head there. Definitely one of the largest tricks we've seen out there today. A 540 bar spin answering back, but that's not only his spin rotation he can do. 180 bar spin disaster.
Wrapping it up right there, but that was a tremendous 900. First invented by Matt Hoffman on a vert ramp. And now we're seeing it thrown down in a qualifying run. Mid-run.
Some big props having Brian come up and give you that hug of approval, actually. The man who's come out here and done the 1080 last year on the spine.
Oh, yeah.
Jakob Bailey right now getting ready.
Mr. Bailey getting ready to strut his stuff. You can see warming up the course right there. You can actually see that little movement and motion. I'm not talking about his dance moves, but looking over the shoulder. He might be trying to visualize going for another one of those wild style flares.
Coming up 360 on that spine there. Whoa, I think that's what he was going for. An even over-rotated 900 flare, I think that would be.
That's one of those wild tricks that's somewhere in between. There's so much rotation going on. Oh!
Wow. Really throwing it down hard out of that one.
Yeah, because if you had the 540 and also that flare at the 180, you wind up throwing so many different numbers in there. It kind of gets that wild hybrid in between. It's also, if he doesn't pull it, it's a little hard to tell what he was thinking, where he was going. But we want to hear from you. If you think that he was going for something other than that 540 flare, or back in the day, shout out to Brett Benisewicz. I remember he did a flat spin at 900, somewhere in between. I remember contest of yesteryear, he did one of those wild spins, one of the first riders to do. He said, what was that? I said, I don't know. What do you want to call it? Flat spin 900, 540 flare, alley-oop 540 flare. But either or, shout out to Brett Benisewicz watching back at home. We miss you, Brett. Right now, Jaden Chipman on course, bar spin out. Yeah, you can just see again the confidence in some riders. And you got to have confidence to go for that triple tail whip. Coming off that extension right there. Takes so much control and confidence to know that you're going to wind up bringing that back end around. You got to be so committed. Let's see if Jaden goes for it again, Ryan. Here we go.
Wow, there you go. 3 tail whips in one. Catches it with only one pedal there, but I think he might be going for one more to perfect it. He got that one in the bag. He feels the smile is right there. He knows he has it. Just has to put that back foot on. Coming back up, getting the speed over the roller. 1, 2, 3. Oh, and just pulling a bit too hard with the hands on those rotations.
All right, Sean Gornell, you will be the next to drop the serve.
So we're seeing that frame go around 3 times, and then he slips that pedal right there, only for a quick little touchdown. He almost had his feet onto the pedals, but didn't have enough hang time to get it positioned properly. Well, I got to tell you, I'm excited to see our next rider, Sean Garnell, drop in. Again, had that crash at the end, but I think we're going to see a very big run here for Sean.
Beautiful flare tabletop. Yeah. Nice double peg up top on the top coping of the sub box.
Oh.
1 foot can fitter.
I don't think that was intentional up there, but he recovers to get tech, ice to foot jam. Yeah, big ice pick stall. That's on the back peg with the bar spin where he winds up dropping down.
Going down right there, that flare whip. 10 seconds. He's going to go right there. Bravo. Give it up for Sean Gornell.
So unfortunately having some difficulty in both runs out there for Sean. That actually really bums me out to see. Here we go.
Oh! And that's all it was out there for the crowd. Triple tail whip air.
So a changing of the guards. Our next 4 riders going to take the course. I believe that's Justin Dowell out there. Justin Dowell's going to get on course. But there's that triple tail whip 1, 2, 3 times around. You see, look at his front foot. This time he's able to get it right onto the pedals. He catches the bike. And it's so crazy. He had that one moment between the second and third tail whip where you just saw that was that full pull commitment, holding the feet up, getting them right down on the bike. But as we wind up heating things up out here, we're going to start seeing some bigger names who have had a presence in the 2017 Feast World Series. One of them is Justin Dowell. He's a rider to always keep your eyes on. Why? Because he's got the ability to spin wild rotations, and he can also do the couple tricks that no other rider is messing with. I'm talking about the Twix, which is a bar spin tail whip simultaneously. And I believe he actually did the Twix into a tail whip, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes.
in our best trick competition in Hiroshima.
Yes, he did.
There's a look at the man, Justin Dowell. You heard him actually say, I might not be first. I think a lot of this is going on the fly right here when you have so many riders who have signed up and some may or may not have shown. Look at the crowd again. I'm going to talk about it as much as humanly possible because this is unlike any other contest. The entire ramp all around is just flooded with people.
It's almost like something out of a video game where they just would have done some crowd fill around the arena. That's what it feels like sometimes to me. It's just a swarm. It doesn't really register until you actually get out there and see that or hear the crowd rumble all the way down the river embankment here. Nice tuck no-hander from Riley Kieran, who's on course right now. Flare tail whip into a double tail whip to foot jam he was going for. Over tooth on the spine coping. That might be it actually for Riley Kieran.
We're good to go?
Oh.
All right.
Yeah, no, that was
Pardon
actually,
me.
so right now we've got the tall order rider coming in right now.
So there's confusion, and I will take that one. That's fine.
No, that's quite all right, because right now we actually don't see this next rider in competition a lot because he is a young gun, but he actually came out here cheered on by his team captain, Sebastian Keep, for tall order. This is a rider that you want to know, Riley Kieran.
Wow, alley-oop flare whip.
Some riders have it at a young age. That's because they put in a lot of time on their bicycle and they got the confidence to back it up. And you are seeing the power from the young rider of Riley Kieran out here.
Talking about bulldogs in the sport of BMX, we got a young one breeding right here. Riley Kieran on fire.
Bar spin, foot jam, just a quick touch right there. Final moment.
Back to fakie to bar spin.
Yes. Looks like we've got another rider who's making a name for himself, and with that 360 double tail whip at height. And here is a flare tail whip. The tall order rider charging. I know that one of the fans out there cheering the loudest was definitely his team captain, Sebastian Keep. I had a chance to talk to Baz earlier, and he was just telling me how excited he was to watch Kieran on the course just rip it apart, and that he did. But we are keeping it rolling with another young rider out here, coming all the way from the United States, Virginia Beach. We're talking about Justin Dowell, the brakeless chromed rider coming in. We talked about he's at spin rotation and wild trick rotation. Ooh.
360 triple bar spin right there into a tail up to bar spin.
Oh.
Wow.
There was that Twix we were talking about. That's a tail whip and a bar spin at the same time. Everything is off the bike. Right
Beautiful
now,
textbook 360 look back into a flare look back.
Dowell is on fire. He doesn't want to leave anything off the table, saying, you know what, I am not qualifying. He's saying, I want to put all my chips in, and I want to make sure I'm one of the 16 that qualified. 360 tire grab. Tail whip, so smooth. 360 fakie. He's got a moment. Bar spin out of it.
Bar spin.
Brian, that was a full run right there, beginning to end. Huge tricks. Had the triple bar spin variation. Also the bar spin out of that Smith stall. Had the Twix we talked about. Not a lot of riders are messing with that trick because it's so technical. That was a big run right there.
Answering definitely back to Riley's run with that 360 double tail up, that amazing alley-oop flare whip. He definitely put his own style into that. Pulling the Twix, like you said, had some massive amplitude. Seems like this is really getting to the heavy hitters as we move down the list. Going into Joel Bondu.
Yeah, the Canadian right now. Joel, super talented rider. He's actually been riding BMX consistently with the Cirque du Soleil. Yes, big combination right there.
Beautiful 360 double bar spin to tabletop.
So Joel has been doing shows on a regular basis, and when you are a show rider, it means that you have your blade sharpened to throw down tricks when necessary, and Joel showing you just that.
There we go, the windshield wiper.
Tail whip in one direction, tail whip in the other.
360 look back into another massive combination there, and then a flare on turn down, I believe, or on the look down. Foot jam, 1 foot can, technical tricks on the deck as well here.
Yeah, tail whip into that bar spin. Joel kicking the whip. Foot jam, big run for Joel too. We're seeing, as we wind up going through our list of riders, the energy turned up not only from the athletes but also the crowd.
That is the riding you've come to know out of Joel Bondu.
Yeah, just jam-packed as we were hearing Catfish touch on that. Not sure if you guys can hear it back home on your TV screens. We've been hearing some big cheers coming up the riverbed. Andres Pardo on deck for his first run here, sliding across that lip right there. We call it a lip slide. Wow, look at the amplitude on that dump 360. Dog piss air, we'd actually call that. Shout out to Hucker. Going for it again. Wanting to catch transition a little better than he did on that first attempt. Nice foot jam into a flat spin 360. Catching some tranny, making it over the roller with another little lip slide. Tuck no hander, using that spine as a quarter pipe into a tail whip air. Nice little knack-knack, showing some of that style as he flies across course here into that off-axis flare.
2, 1. That's going to be done to Colombian Andres Pardo.
Wow, Ryan, this heat is really turning things up out here. We just saw some really consistent runs beginning to end from our last group of athletes. Yeah, big dipped out 360 1-foot X right there. I know you mentioned Mike Hucker Clark. Definitely a signature for Hucker, but we're seeing it being stepped up with that X up from Andres Pardo.
This is his first feast, you guys. This is his first time at the feast. Run number 2.
You were hearing it, Catfish.
We gotta pump him up. MONTPELLIER! Let's make some noise!
You know, I just try to lay out there and see if you guys can get a little idea for the crowd. Started it off with a 360 double tail up to bar spin. Riley Kieran is here and he wants to stay. Tuck no hander up to foot jam on the sub box. Tons of, wow, almost over-rotating that alley-oop flare whip.
You could see the determination before he dropped in, and he's able to keep that focus as he hits the halfway mark.
You got 25 seconds.
Wow, Riley Kieran really coming out flying there. The kid is on it. Double tail whip. Whoa. I believe that was bar catch, half bar back.
Almost got tangled up there, but he's showing that he's in complete control. Washing out on that flip fakie, but you know what? By the crowd's response, that little crash at the end is little and not going to affect a big run for the tall order rider. Here we go.
1, 2 times around into a bar spin, stepping it up from his first run, and then into that flare, that alley-oop flare whip.
And you saw that focus and determination to throw down that 4-hit combo over the spine. The fact that he threw the bars after the double tail whip, his back wheel was practically on the ground, but he was so committed. Another rider that was committed in his first run is the young rider Justin Dowell, coming for run number 2. Let's see, Dowell had a solid first run. Is he going to try to step it up? Oh, 360 triple bar spin.
But that was actually, he did do that in his first run. A couple changes, let's see, with that turn down coming over the spine, and then going fakie right here in that fakie 0 spin front flip.
Right back up on the bike. Let him hear you, MONTPELLIER.
All right, Dowell recovering 360 tail whip right there.
20 seconds, Justin, 20 seconds.
Sometimes your second score, even though it's a best run that counts, there's the Twix. Your second score can sometimes help if there's a tiebreaker that's needed.
Wow, really just answering back with so many combination tricks, and that one half pipe bull at the very bottom there. Getting the Twix into regular whip, back into some fakey combinations, half cab, 180 out.
Ok, on repart vers le Canada. Mesdames et messieurs, mon cher Bibou est de retour. Faites-moi du bruit pour Joël Bondu, c'est son deuxième médaille.
Next rider up for his second time, Joel Bondu, on course at 360 downside tail up over the spine, pumping over that roller. Look at the amplitude on that double tail to bar spin. Tuck no hander over the spine. Nice amplitude coming back into setup air, 360 downside tail whip into a flare tail whip to tabletop inverted way. Nice foot jam, tons of combinations from Bondu as he is in one of the heaviest heats we've seen out there in the qualification.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if you're in this stacked heat or if you're in any of the other heats, you're riding against all other riders because we are only taking the top 16 best single run scores. So Joel trying to go for some wild lip trick variation. Let's see if he gets back on it. This one will not count towards his score. This will be just for the fans. Oh, big front flip for Bondu. So Joel throwing down a little bit of flavor, Canadian style, off that roller. Again, Joel is such a talented rider. Has been riding with Cirque du Soleil. So here we go, our next rider to compete. Second run, last of our heat number 7.
Love how he really drifts across on that lip side and then pushes that foot way back over the rear axle for that 1 foot X up dump 360 into a nice 360 tail whip.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I'm a big fan right here of his style. Andres bringing it with these dip 360s, setting up on that wall. Can't step through this time. Andres Pardo with the opposite air look back, almost falls off the back end of the bike. Almost being the key word when you have so much bike control and style. Andres can recover. Foot jam back at us. Tail whip. And a huge run. I got to tell you, Ryan, heat number 7 was fired non-stop. Top to bottom, both runs from our riders.
Yeah, completely one of the biggest heats that we have seen so far today. But man, talk about heavy hitters stepping up to deck. I just saw 3 energy drink helmets roll out and 2 Russians, 1 Croatian. This is going to be a big one next heat up. Take a look at some of the replays though from what we just saw unfold. Some great action from the riders so far today as we're probably halfway through our finalists. I mean, through our qualification. I'm honestly not too sure where we are, but we're getting there. We really are. Stay tuned though. There's some big action coming up. Look at that. Riley really shredding out there. There's Dowell's flare turn down, and that amazing trick as well.
Yeah, known as the Twix. That's that 360, excuse me, that's that tail whip with the bar spin happening at the same time. And there was Joel Bondu throwing down the front flip off the roller. Now keep in mind, it is not even the weekend yet. And look at the thousands of fans that are flooding in. See, the one thing that's going to be a little different when you throw in the weekend, on Saturday we are going to have our finals. You are going to see a tremendous party out here. Tremendous party. It's the party of the year for BMX. Get out here. You got time. Anywhere in the world you could book a ticket. If you're in Australia, you still can get out here. You could do it. I just came from Australia. You could be here by Saturday.
Were you in Australia?
I was in Australia. I was riding BMX with Joe Rich, Russell Brindley, Jason Watts. I had a chance to go to some famous concrete spots, having the time of my life down there, cruising around Bondi Bowl, and right now we are at the party. So if you're in Australia, you still can get here for Saturday's final. You got time, you can get here. But one person who is here for the party is the Russian. We talk about the Russian invasion all in 2017, and it's been continuing in 2018. And that is for none other than Alex Nikulin. Yo, big backflip starting things off. Nikulin is one of my favorite riders to watch, who falls in the category of maybe a contest park trick rider. He's got a lot of style. He can do all the big tricks, but he's a brakeless rider who can flow around the park at lightning speeds. So it's going to be interesting to see the way that he brings those elements to his run out here.
Yeah, the Russians, like we were saying, that invasion, check out that beautiful 360 toboggan. They have all the tricks. I mean, they can spin tail whips faster. They can do bar spins more consistently, and they seem to be able to do all the steezy tricks in one, and I think that is why they have this domination that we've seen into the contest scene, because they figured out a way of training that they're able to all do this together and seem to have so much fun out there on course. Alex Nicolin, as you see there, starting things off big with that backflip drop in. We're not even seeing many riders attempt a trick in, but he already knows, okay, if I want to get up top of the spot to make sure that I have a spot in the finals, I need to get out swinging right from the drop in. But another rider up, the top man that we picked up in Croatia, that's Marin Rantis, doing it for Red Bull, Croatian BMX athlete on top of the box right now.
Yeah, we saw last year Marin really come into his own as far as style is concerned, and the tricks that he's able to do.
Wow, 360 double tail whip and perfectly hitting transition, however, casing that next air. Double bar spin, still getting some great speed generation up here. Bar spin to tuck no-hander.
That bar spin variation was a little hard to see from our house, Ron. That might have been a triple out of Marin. It's a little hard to see again from our perspective.
Very well could be with an athlete like that. Throwing handlebars so quickly, I seriously cannot catch that all.
No, and that's it just highlighting his bike control. I mean, that's what we talked about. He came into his own with his own style. You could just see, you could just see even his upper body strength and the way that he winds up being on the bike. You could just tell that he's really just not only grown into his own style, but his bag of tricks as well. Last year in Budapest, we just saw tremendous riding out of him, and it's really rolling over into 2018.
And then we see the next guy up, actually, another Red Bull athlete, Kostya. Well, actually, maybe he's going to go last. I'm not going to. No. Next rider up at the gate is Eric Figar.
Yeah, Eric's a big boy with some big style out there. Figar, bar spin over the spine. Double tail whip, downside edition.
Holding it together, and then double tail whip on the top side away. To an opposite whip, I believe, on that top side air. Nice flare, yeah, Eric. Holding it together.
Yeah, transferring into the vert wall, setting up on the roller right here. Look back air. Figar with 15 seconds. Going the distance on that foot jam tail whip, able to hop back to the pedals over the coping. There was the different version of it, this time going a tail whip into the foot jam. Wow, so Eric throwing down a big run. That's what we're seeing as we wind up progressing through our names. Consistency and a confidence out there. So Eric getting his run done. The exciting thing that we said, Ryan and I are sitting in the same shoes that you are. We don't know who's going to be yet to ride, but when you do see the Red Bull helmet and you hear a Russian name of Kostya Andreev, you know that it is a technical rider who's got some of the biggest, wildest, craziest technical combo lip tricks out there.
A rider who is known time and time again to come out and win best tricks as well with his lip tricks. Has some amazing combination. Is one of the names that pops out in my imagination when I think of this contest in particular. Kostya out there, bar spin to foot jam, fader style over and back in.
Yeah, Kostya also, we talk about best tricks, not only as far as getting technical on lip tricks, but he also has won best trick contest here at the Feast before with a cannonball bar spin to seat grab tail whip. If that's a tongue twister, imagine trying to do any of his riding. But that was Kostya Andreev putting down a big solid first run.
I also believe either last year or 2 years ago, I remember Kostya doing a double tail whip to a 360 double tail whip foot jam to 540 tail whip back in.
I mean, that is just absurd. I'm just going to say this. You can actually witness that if you go onto our YouTube page. Just type in FIS and type in 2016 spine highlights. I actually did that earlier today, and you can see that absurd tongue twister that Ryan just said, involving a ton of tail whips, a lot of Russians, a lot of bar spins, and a lot of Kostya Andreev.
Yeah, I just can't believe that kid. Okay, back up to Alex Nicolin with that backflip drop in. Shout out to the late great Dave Muron. Alex Nicolin, 360 bar over there, and an opposite bar the other way. Huge amplitude on both that tail whip and that flare whip.
Yeah, so we're seeing, as we talked about strategy right here, it looks like Nicolin is starting things off the same way, trying to get a smoother version of his first run. Yes. So it's all about your best run counting, and what I mean by that, sometimes riders will throw in some bigger tricks, they'll try to polish the edges, and Nicolin right there getting his second run done. Taking a look, flare tail whip. You could see his foot right there wasn't perfectly put back on the pedals, but he was able to do that 540 flare. Again, that's such a weird hybrid of tricks. Remember, Daniel Dares was one of the first riders to kind of open the door with all that off-axis spin and rotation. But Marin Rantish, the Croatian on course. Bar spin, foot jam. Yeah. Oh!
Yeah, wow. Really needling the thread on that transition of coping. Was that a triple whip or was that a double? That was really fast.
You know what? It's so cool that we're questioning it, because that's just basically the level that Marin is at right now. Again, it was a little hard to see from our perspective, but it potentially could have been. And there you go, that burner going all the way. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Oh, just a little bit out off the back. And that is going to do it, though. The second run of Marin Rantish, the Croatian top freestyle BMX athlete out there, giving the deuces to Brian Fox. Looks like he's putting the helmet on and ready to get on course.
Yeah, as you look down, a lot of riders yet to go.
I've actually just gotten word that we have actually just 10 riders left, so we've really been doing good time down here, getting things going.
That also means that a lot of riders have not entered. They might have got too stuck into the party competition from the night before, but also making friends out here. That's one of the great things about the feast, not just the top level riding, top level atmosphere, but that was awesome. You saw him do that pedal flip coming back in after that stall on the front wheel. Eric Figar throwing down that opposite flare direction. Very impressed with Eric's riding. Foot jam, tail whip. Ooh.
I've seen Eric actually ride at a contest in the Netherlands called the Pro Freestyle, and as well blew me away in the street finals.
So if you heard me make that sound effect, it was because I was disappointed that Eric didn't get to finish his run. There's certain riders that you're always cheering on that you don't maybe traditionally get to see at contests. You want them to be out there and get that full pull, but hopefully his first run will be enough to stick.
Kostya Andreev about to drop in here. Let's see what he has. Can he pull together? Bar spin over the spine. Nice 50-50 into a bar spin. 360 tail whip. Tail to foot jam.
Yeah, Kostya on it. Popping that big no-handed flare. Yo, double peg stall, spinning that rotation of 270 degrees out, getting the fakie. You can see when Kostya goes backwards, he actually has to engage his pedals. That's because he does not have the free coaster on his bike. But one thing that he does have is a Superman seat grab to tail whip, where he utilized holding the seat and throwing that around. Well, Catfish asked, what can you do with the 10 seconds? And right there, you could pay a little respect to your fans right there, waving to the crowd as we look at Kostya's double peg up, bar spin coming in. I like the way that he is brakeless, and you can see just utilizing the handlebars to just push around on those bar spins. So it looks like another changing of the guards in our battlefield.
Oh, Kevin Peraza, I just heard. Wow.
Jeremy Mallet.
It's a monster. It's a monster heat right now.
So Jeremy Mallet,
Brian Fox, Kevin Peraza. Hey, look at that. We got some results on screen. Look at Justin Dowell in the lead with an 83.60. Joel Bondu, 81.80. And Andres Pardo in third place there with the 69. Moving forward into fourth, Riley Kieran, Tobias Figang, Kane Mitchell, Eric Figar, Ismail Fries, Romain Desiv. And then moving into our second page there, Myron Rantes, Acosta, and then 13, 14 down to 20th. Huge hit of athletes that we've already had so far today.
So the Canadian Jaden Chipman is on the bubble right there. 46.20 and up is going to be the score that any athlete on the course is going to need to progress. Again, it is a best run counts. So that is what we're doing. Unfortunately, if you are 17th through 20th, you did not make it into the final. But a lot of our riders are also competing in our BMX park competition, which will be going on tomorrow as well. But there we're taking a look at that flare, the 540 flare rather. As Ryan, we could just hear the crowd starting to roar all down the streets in Montpellier. Yeah, there's a look at that Superman seat grab to tail whip from Kostya Andreev. So we are building things up as we are getting ready for our next riders to take the course. Three big names. So you could hear our on-course MCs. Tomas.
Oh, yeah, so I believe it's going to be Irek Razev, Jeremy Mallet. What do I see on course? I mean, pardon, I wasn't listening completely to them.
Well, we're going to see.
What else do I see there? Kevin Peraza, is that?
Big Bryce Tryon.
Oh, Bryce Tryon.
Yes, coming in. I had a chance to actually fly the friendly skies with Bryce and his dad over here. Oh, we had a connecting flight from Paris to Montpellier, and he was telling me that he's so excited to be here. He's really stepped his game up in the last couple of years as well, and we're just seeing him, similar to Marin Rantish, really grow into his own.
Ooh, nice amplitude out of that. Look at, he was about 4 feet above the sub box.
Yeah, that was with an X up to a bar spin. A lot of riders usually throw the bars first. The fact that you're throwing them second, you got to make sure you get your hands back on the grips, be committed after the X up.
Ah, that's what he was going for. Okay, really nice there. Bar spin to not disaster, but spin stall.
So Bryce right there having some difficulty on the Abubakar. That is the back wheel stall, looking to drop down the ramp. So a little unfortunate for Bryce, but he's got a lot of time out there and he's got the consistency. He rides a lot at Woodward West.
He knows it! He will go do something.
So you saw right there, he's pointing up to the MC, saying he knows it. It looks like he was going for something wild style, potentially into or out of that Fufanu, excuse me, Abubakar. Both a back wheel stall and both tongue twisters as we watch Jeremy Mallet drop in. And Jeremy had a big stop at our first on the Feast World Series out in Hiroshima. He actually finished 4th. Oh! Wow. Jeremy, recently a father, his riding has been fueled to new levels. He said that he's never been more inspired to ride, and his riding has not been better since becoming a dad. So cool to see a lot of our riders growing up and still pushing themselves on their bicycle, as Jeremy is doing right now.
15 seconds, Jeremy, 15.
Yeah, getting that beautiful backflip to fakie. A fakie whip on the other quarter pipe right there. Jeremy Mallet ending it off. Hands up. And excited, big smile on his face like usual. Happy to see him out here in the mini ramp contest as well. Check out that heavy swinging, I'm gonna say flare. Is that a 540 flare?
Yeah, I mean, he just gets that spin where he winds up rotating around. I'd like to see it from another angle, but again, it can be called different ways. And you know what? I said Brett Benisewicz I thought was watching from home, but I think I just saw the Mad Dog out in the crowd, which is so cool how many BMXers are in the house. But right now, Kevin Peraza is rocking the house. Oh!
As well seen, pardon me. Oh, the names are not coming off, but hey, why do you need to think of anybody else? Kevin Peraza is on screen right now. 360 bar spin over that spine.
Kevin Peraza, an X Games gold medalist. Yo!
Dennis Anderson, that's what I was thinking of. I've also seen him in the crowd. Wall ride to whip right there, and then wall ride to downside opposite tail whip. Coming back, answering that he does it both ways.
There you go, big no-hander and a flare at the buzzer. It's funny that you mentioned Dennis Anderson literally at the same time. Dennis just sent me a text saying how much fun he's having here at the Feast competition. He was actually going to wind up riding in our park course, but he did not have a chance to get any practicing because his bicycle, unfortunately, was lost by the airlines by the time he got it. But Dennis, it's so cool having him out here. He's having the blast with all the riders, checking out the course right now, and really just cheering on all of his friends. But right now, we got the Russian, large and in charge, the Red Bull rider, Irek Raizev. Now that was 1, 2, 3 times around. You could see very clearly from our house. Wild style up into that foot jam on the sub. Irek is just putting on a jumping demo over the spine. Such a tall rider, and he just has so much hang time. Whatever. Floating whip after whip after whip, and they're all different variations of it.
And this kid really has his own style that's come about. You know, he's kind of just really smiley, happy. I don't want to have a negative connotation for it, but slightly dorky kid that doesn't seem to feel like he fits this, you know, rock star BMX mentality, and I love that so much. Watch him come out here, and he seems to have so much fun, but has the craziest tricks that we've seen in action sports as well. I love to see that diversity that you carry through into the BMX scene.
So Irek putting down his first run. We're looking at Bryce Tyron, who will hopefully, Big T, have a little more luck in his second run. Bryce Tryon on deck, getting the crowd pumped up. He's saying, you know what, I came all the way from the United States for a reason. It's for these 50 seconds, and he is going to make them matter. As Bryce is setting up over the spine, you see landing a little bit low, but he's able to still rotate the bars one way, then the other. That time a double bar spin with a 360 on. I think Bryce is super focused on pulling a specific trick. There's a flare. Oh, going for a tail whip. Just Smith stall with the 270 in between.
It's almost like a disaster because he gets into that 270, but then he just gets the front peg.
Come on, Bryce. Bar spin opposite.
It sounds like you know something that he has up his sleeve there.
I'm just cheering him on. I was so, like I said, so psyched to see him and his dad here, especially in the airport. And you could just tell he's having a great time. Always a positive rider, even if it doesn't necessarily go his way or not. But I do have to give props on that Abubakar variation. Here we go, Abubakar. Foot jam, fakey, so smooth.
Our video crew is reading your mind.
Yeah,
that one.
No-hander opposite with the bar spin. So that was Bryce's second entrance. Again, I believe the score to beat was a 42 point something. So that means our judges are looking for big runs out there.
See, this is what I mean. The more tattoos The quote from Catfish: the more tattoos you are, the better you are on a BMX bike. It's just answering back to that that type I was talking of. But hey, Jeremy Mallet seems to be working for you, my man. I love them as well. Looks great.
So the newly minted father right here, double tire on the wall. Jeremy's setting up for something. Flip fakie.
10 seconds.
Bar spin. So Jeremy getting a little bit lost in his second run. But again, this is a best run format, which I think is really exciting and cool, especially in our park contest. We actually changed things up as well to a best run format for our semi and final, and it really makes a rider, they get that solid first run, they sometimes will throw some wild stuff in the second. But right now, Kevin Peraza's got the cards stacked against him. He had some difficulty in his first run, so he knows that he's going to have to keep it rolling in his second consistently all the way through, and he's doing just that.
Yo, just swinging around there on that flare whip. Woo, and getting up that sub box to foot jam, 1 foot can drop in. Look at that alley-oop flare unturned down.
Peraza on the front wheel.
Oh, going for a 540 G-turn on the front nose wheel there.
That was insane. Sometimes Kevin will actually pop around, but it looked like he was holding it for an extra duration of time. Maybe trying to do a different variation out instead of just popping into the quarter. Such a crazy trick. Remember the first time he did that nose press? I believe it was at a...
Yeah, one more. I want to see one more, Kevin.
I do too, because I think he's going to do a variation out. I mean, I don't want to call him out on anything, but there we go, Ryan. That slow-mo is just for you. 360
bar spin to that signature tabletop, and there you go, that unturned down flare. Let's see, Peraza. I feel like Peraza is doing something we're missing off camera right now.
Here we go, here we go.
Yeah, oh.
Yeah, another topping on the Sunday. I knew it was in there. Let's see. You know what's crazy? He was going in his run for a wild variation of a very technical trick. I believe the first time Kevin actually did that front wheel balance trick, I think it was actually at a Red Bull Dirt Conquers event down in Mexico, and we were calling his event. He was the first rider to balance that 540 style where he changed his direction on the front wheel.
Yeah.
And now to see he's going for a variation of that in his run, so crazy.
Oh, I love it. And especially been watching so much Flatland as well lately and seeing how that trick kind of evolved. It's really cool to see riders like that put it into their park runs, into their street riding ability. But now back to Eric Razev. Really hope I didn't take any offense out there from you, man. I love watching you ride. So Eric, back on course here.
Eric, that was Ryan, not me. Let's not get that twisted.
Yeah, we can do it all day. That was a downside opposite tail whip actually right there from Eric.
I think anyone doing a triple tail whip over a coping at 6 foot plus spine is James Dean cool in my book. So. But right now, Eric looking good as he nose presses to tail tap. No brakes on the bike, both ends. Eric going up foot jam, tail whip back in. All right. Getting the pound out there from his Russian brother. You can see. Here we go, here we go.
Oh, really?
The push-ups. Maybe that was his plan after all, trying to get an upper body workout.
You think he's going to like a Smith or?
I think he's, I think
double peg.
It's hard to call out, but I think he's looking to put another maybe rotation in there because he's not dipping or jumping back to the ramp.
No, he's really holding there for a bit of that pivot. Jeremy Mallet right there with, I think that's a 540 flare, let's call it. Peraza again, 3 downside there, some great combinations, that 360 bar spin to tabletop. Just love the style on this kid. Love watching him ride. One of the only riders just having that swag, let's say, as well. Slip on Vans, super Cali vibes.
Wow, I think we just heard they said this is the last heat.
Last heat, and it looks pretty big there. Jack Clark, Brian Fox, Pat Casey I saw go up, and I don't know who else is in there. That's Brian Fox, I think, with the red wheels.
It's a little hard to see from our perspective of who we're dealing with on the ramp just yet, so I don't want to call anyone out.
I'll say that's for sure, Brian. That's Pat Casey dropping in right now. And then
Well, it's definitely confirmed by Brian putting his arms up to the sky, and we do have Pat Casey on the ramp. So last year, Brian Fox finished 8th in 2017 in our spine contest. Pat Casey 13th, but in 2016, Pat finished much higher up in 4th place.
Yeah, that's Jack Clark.
Yeah, the Radio Bikes rider of Jack Clark out there on the course. Jack's always exciting to watch ride, especially because he has different style. He could do the crazy spins. We've seen the bar spin 540 variations. He could throw triples. I think he could throw quadruple bar spins. But he also messes with that front peg a lot in different stalls, which is really cool, especially on the spine as well. So again, we've got our riders. 16 are going to wind up moving on. So let's see, before we go into our last heat, where are our riders standing?
Look at that. Justin Dowell still on top there. Joel Bondu in 2nd place. And Kostya Andreev in 3rd place there. Eric Razev, the other Russian dominating force, in 4th place. Andres Pedro in 5th. Alex Nikola in 6th. Riley Kieran 7th. Jeremy Mallet 8th. Tobias Frigang 9th. Kane Mitchell 10th. Eric Figar in 11th. And Ismail Fries in 12th place, rounding up that first page.
So Ryan, if we have 4 riders who have yet to go and we're taking 16, that means that those top 12 that you just read off the list have qualified. But that's not official. We're not making the call. We heard that this is potentially the last heat out here, but we don't know 100%. But if that is the case, then that's what we're looking at.
Exactly. That is what we are looking at. But nothing is official, especially in an open qualifier when there are so many papers flying around. That's the unofficial count we got on screen right now. Brian Fox, though, seems to be warming up a bit.
You just saw Brian right there throw a triple bar spin on the deck of the ramp. He's got some wild tricks right there. Again, we saw in the highlight of 2017, he did a 1080 over the spine. Also, he did a bar spin to bar spin back flare, I believe, if memory serves correctly. But there is Pat Casey.
Saying hi to the family at home, I believe.
Pat is one of the coolest BMX families and also BMX houses in Southern California. He's got his 2 kids, Rita and Tatum, future BMX riders. I should say BMX riders. BMX is in the blood in that family. Definitely Hellraisers, take after his dad. So cool. You could actually follow on Pat Casey. He's got a YouTube channel where he documents his whole family. You can see a little bit behind the scenes of a BMX rider and a BMX family. But Pat Casey right there waiting for Jose Torres Gil to get off course as the Mongoose rider getting ready to bring it in.
Okay. Camacho, you have one line. Just rewarm up pretty quick.
Yeah, Camacho.
And we'll join the party.
No, he just said.
You hear right there, he's saying, hey, Camacho. He's talking about Jonathan Camacho, the wild man we saw last year do a tail whip in China off the side of the course. Camacho on course, so maybe this isn't the last heat.
Camacho's in his boxers. I don't know what's happening, unless those are some different shorts.
Maybe he was inspired by Ratty Matty.
Yeah, Ratty Matty's really rubbing off. Ratty Rat everywhere. Okay, Casey on course here with that double peg into backflip tail whip.
Come on,
540 off axis.
Come on, Casey. Let's see what he's got. Going up, foot jam on the sub. Downside 360 tail whip. Tail whip to bar spin. Very smooth on the transition from the bike rotating to the handlebars. There we go, the free coaster of Casey. Pat has got one of the biggest, best backyard mini ramps you could have. It's transforming and morphing almost into a bowl daily with new elevated sections put on, but he almost might be on a quote-unquote home court advantage because he rides a big spine ramp on the regular. All right, Pat. So Casey right there, big run. Let's take a look. There's that flat spin, bar spin, flare. So Casey getting one done.
Look at that.
Oh, look at this.
This can't be the last heat.
Look at this. The crowd favorite. And you can hear by him just putting up the thumbs and the deuces, that roaring applause is for none other than Mark Webb. All right, Webby up and down. Big 360 floating across the ramp. I love the way that he utilized the entire distance of the spine on that 3. Webb popping up for a double tail whip. 360 turn down. 1 foot, one hander floating on the same side. Right now in the skies is Mark Webb flying above Montpellier as he's got 20 seconds with the look back. Come on, Webb. Oh. Webb unfortunately going down. Fast plant flare. Are you kidding? Recovering after a crash. 540 tail tap over pedal pick and back. And this is time. So you can hear a little bit of a different variation in as far as the trick being called. Catfish said over sprocket. I said over pedal. I think when you're doing that trick, you're smashing on either side, whatever you call it. Doesn't necessarily make a difference in the trick because they are both awesome. And the 5 judges being Van Homan, BB, Hank, Igor Vukadinovic, and Luka Kovic will all determine the points based on their liking, regardless of what we say on a trick or not on this end. But right now, the big boy from Florida putting it out, milking the crowd right here, squeezing all the juice from the fruit, trying to hear every single fan in Montpellier, getting them to their feet. We're talking about Brian Fox.
The man that we've mentioned previously today. We said the guy who did that 1080 in 2017 in the finals. He's been amping up the crowd for all the other competitors down there, helping out when they have crashes. Brian Fox is on course right now, taking the limelight.
Yeah, Brian. Downside tail whip. Ooh, Superman C grab right there.
Over tooth, getting up technical.
Ooh, here we go. You can see the confidence in that double peg. He's setting up for something. For Brian Fox, he likes to go big. Here we go. Ooh, he's setting up. Yes. Flare traveling across the ramp. Here we go.
1, 2, cork 720 into a flare bar spin over toothpick. Coming back, getting some speed again, downside tail whip, and that's going to do it. Time. Tuck no hander might just count on that one.
Yeah, big run for Brian. A lot of times his strategy is to just put 2, 3, 4 haymakers together in one run. But we're seeing the strategy be a little bit different right there. He's also getting ready for the club tonight. But the strategy was really to put together a solid run with a lot more hits, a lot more tricks right there. That 720 had great style. There's a flare bar spin. But we're going to see what's his strategy on his second run. He got a solid one down. But a rider, we never know what strategy is going to go, whether it be tech, whether it be a wild transfer, or whether it be all-around great style. Is Jack Clark, the UK, is coming in. Yeah, Jack. 360 bar spin to no-hander. Downside tail whip, just flying through the skies with that suicide no-hander. Yeah, there's the tech of Clark.
Yeah, I love how he does that tabletop on the inverted way. Completely different than most riders doing the 360 table or the 540 table, pardon me, in that context.
There you go, over ice pick and back, similar to that over pedal or over sprocket, except that time resting on the back peg. That's why it's called the ice pick. Alley-oop, downside tail whip, over ice pick right there. I believe he actually might have manualed on the spine.
That's a full pull.
Yeah. So Jack going beyond the buzzer right there.
Exciting. So much action in that run.
Ice pick up, toothpick. So much confidence. You're going from the back peg onto your front peg, and to get in the front peg, the thing that it's hard to realize unless you've done a toothpick before, your body weight is so far over the ramp. You are over 10 feet off the ground, so that's basically like hanging out of a second-story window, but then come in smooth. All right, well, this is my man I was talking about. In 2016, made a huge name for himself, and in 2017 got second place. Looking to move things up. This is Jose Torres Gil. Yeah!
Wow, and that's how he made a name for himself with the amplitude like that, and tricks to back at 360 double tail whip, coming back on the spine. Downside tail whip in that 360.
The Gil hitting the pop button on every quarter pipe. Even when he lands low, he somehow comes back with the height to get the double tail whip. Had a great start to the year. Actually, like I said, won first place at Simple Session in Estonia. I know that the whole Simple Session crew right now is watching. I'm talking about you, Risto and Mario, as you're cheering on Jose Torres Gil over the spine with the no-hander. Double tire. 180 bar spin. Yeah. All right. So cool having that big Jumbotron in the background. Such a cool shot right there. You got the crowd down below and that huge screen. So cool. Look at that right there. What a view. What a view.
The #1 rider in Ecuador.
Oh, yeah.
Say hello to Jonathan.
The party starts now. Heat 10. I believe, what, this is our 6th rider of the heat? Short shorts. It is on. It is the Jonathan Camacho show. Camacho has such a fun energy. Excitement is the name of the game. On and off the bike. We talked about Pat Casey's YouTube channel. If you get a chance, check out some of the videos where he follows Camacho around at the contests. Never a dull moment with this guy. The Ecuadorian rider, bar spin over the spine, grabbing that transition. Come on, Camacho.
10 seconds.
Yeah, 360 tail whip, very smooth, double peg. Here we go.
3 seconds, 2, 1.
And that is time.
Jonathan Camacho. So this might be the last heat, but it is definitely a bigger one. So we've just seen Brian Fox, Jack Clark, Pat Casey,
Mark Webb, right?
Mark Webb, Jonathan Camacho, and Jose Torres Gil all compete in this last one. They really stack them together.
So we got the 6 riders in here, but so you know what? That changes things a little bit. I said if you were 12 and up, but that means if you were 10 and up.
Exactly.
So if you're sitting in 11th and 12th place, you are definitely going to be biting your fingernails to see if you could be one of the ones that might get bumped out.
I think that is Gutler, unless I'm like really losing my mind.
So if you are Eric Figar, or Mr. Freeze, you are definitely bugging out right now, saying, you know what, my odds, am I going to be one that can make it?
Pat Casey getting a nice fader to combination on top of that sub box. Sorry, you're saying, of course, it is going to be right down to the wire there on that bubble, biting the fingernails. Pat Casey coming back here, a nice double peg up on the sub box.
Yeah.
Double tail whip to fakie.
So Casey right there, not able to get his foot on, but he's still naming the game 4-3. Stepping through on the can-can, behind the back seat grab with some style right there. So let's look at some of the madness of Pat Casey. 360, such great style. That was one of the highlights.
I missed that one, really missed that right there.
That was one of the highlights of the whole competition, if you ask me. 360, dipping that front end down, grabbing behind the seat.
Beautiful trick.
A lot of finesse out of Casey. Well, a man who can work the crowd. He's been doing it for over a decade here at the Feast. Celebrity. You go anywhere with Mark Webb down the streets of Montpellier. Autographs, people wanting his bike, his helmet, just a little piece of Mark Webb, and he's about to give it to us with 50 seconds in his second run. Mark Webb, the Webby Show. Ooh, good style in that no-handed 360. It was a little hard to see from that perspective, but he traveled about 15 feet, maybe even 20 from left to right on the ramp. This is the Webb Show.
This is what we come for.
Oh, so disappointing. Fell in that decade air. But you know what? He's back on it. He's got 20 seconds. Now he threw a, front flip. Webb threw so many tricks in that first 15, 20 seconds that maybe even having a crash is not going to affect him because he's already got so many tricks in there. So Webb, that was disappointing, but he could still maybe be one of the guys that make it in. I know for Montpellier's sake, they want to see him.
Really big combinations there, like that backflip turn down into into opposite flare way, tuck no-hander, and that front flip over the knuckle. Those are some tricks that are really going to score high with the judges. But like you said, disappointing that he wasn't able to make it a perfect run all the way through. A man who did get a nice safety run off, and maybe that was something for his confidence. Brian Fox, let's see what he has, tossing the bars around on top of the deck. We know he is one of the fastest spinning athletes in BMX. He was able to do the 1080 last year at the Spine contest. What is he able to do out there today? Let's see.
Now, just to be clear, what Ryan and I have said about a quote-unquote safety run for Fox, it's only because he goes so big all the time. At every single one of the contests, he's always known to just blast over box jumps or spines to a degree that no other rider usually messes with. So the fact that we're seeing, though, him throw in a lot of tricks on different walls, we're seeing a little bit of a different style for Fox, and I got to be honest with you, I like them both because I'm just a fan of Brian Fox.
Coming back on course, let's see if he's going to be doing more lip tricks or getting back into the airs. No, I think that's going to be it for Mr. Fox, honestly.
There you go, some fancy footwork for Brian Fox. Brian winning over a lot more fans here at Montpellier.
Sorry, ladies, he is taken. He got a girlfriend.
Okay, let's go back to style and sweetness from the UK. Mesdames et messieurs, pour son deuxième run, le rider vocal BMX. Est-ce qu'on peut faire du bruit encore une fois pour Jack Clark?
The JC, Jack Clark, dropping in. Oh, hanging up a little bit, but he's able to get back to that ice pick into a foot jam this time. Last time he did the toothpick stall. The JC, Jack Clark, suicide no-hander over the spine. Oh!
Going out uncharacteristic, Jack Clark. Still carrying it back up now. See if he can get some speed. A little bit of momentum. 20 seconds still left on the clock for Clark.
That is a tongue twister, but thankfully Jack is okay, falling off that toothpick stall. Like we said, that's practically rolling off a second-story roof of your house. Yeah.
Beautiful invert. Oh, over tooth to bar spin.
So you might hear a little bit of variation in some of the tricks that are here.
No, that was true. That was right. That was my wrong call. It was an over Smith.
You know, you could probably technically call it either way, tomato, tomato. What I would maybe call it is a dark side Smith or maybe a dark side toothpick, because there's a little bit more of a peg bonk. It's a little hard to see if his back wheel was there or not. Sometimes it's tomato, tomato. Either way, it's a badass trick, just like that big boost. This is what we're talking about, reminiscent of 2016.
100% without a doubt the highest amplitude we're seeing so far today.
Where Jose Torres Gil exploded onto the scene, and he's keeping that momentum rolling as he's literally just exploding on each one of these walls, blasting higher and higher. Jose Torres Gil out here showing you why he has become a name in BMX. Starting off with the feast, as right there he's burning on that front wheel, using his front tire, his foot in the front tire to balance. There you go. That was more of a dark Smith stall.
And that will be time.
So let's look at the height right there. We talk about being picture perfect with the Jumbotron, but when my man is floating all the way up into that screen, that is such a cool view to see. It's like we're seeing Gill Vision just blasting to the moon. Well, one rider is yet to drop, and this is the party man. What a way to do it. You could hear Catfish saying Camacho is crazy indeed. Let's see what the Ecuadorian riders got for us.
Double tail whip air coming back in, bar spin right there, and a flare whip, or a 540 flare whip, however you look at that one. 360 bar spin into a tail whip. Jonathan all the way from Ecuador, as we heard previously before, the top rider, and personally the only BMX athlete I know competing on a world level who travels from Ecuador. This as well, I do believe, is going to be our last rider of the day. Jonathan Camacho holding on to that downside tail whip, and that's going to do it. 540 bar spin. Actually, cool style there, because his foot was completely off, which means it was almost like a no-hand, one-footed 540 truck driver. Or I might just be tired and thinking of tricks right now, but it looked quite cool to me. I do believe, however, that is going to be the last rider of the day. Let's take a couple replay looks at what Jonathan was on for.
So we are going to take a look at some of the highlights here from our heat. That is Pat Casey, Jack Clark, the bar spin up into the sub box.
Jack Clark getting things going, that beautiful 540 tabletop. Look at there, Jonathan Camacho, Jose Torres Gil, 540 bar spin. Pat Casey right there with one of the most phenomenal tricks I've seen of style and grace, executing his own characteristics out there on course. That is none other than Mark Webb doing his infamous roller front flip. Brian Fox with the Cork 720 into a beautiful front flip flare whip on that quarter pipe right there. Some amazing riding from top BMX athletes in the entire world. And we had such a large heat going down there under the lights over at the Central Plaza. What did you think so far of the contest? It's only qualifications. I mean, this isn't even close to finals yet.
I think the things that stand out, not only the top riding, not only the fact that we had so many different styles out here, it's not even the weekend yet, and our fans are pouring in all day today. I feel like the attendance was higher, and you could just feel the energy. This is our qualifier, and they were really giving the love to the riders, and you could see that back. It was so cool to see the different styles out there, and the fact that we wind up having this in front of Town Hall, City Hall. What other place in the world would really have that? But we're going to see which one of our top 16 riders are going to be making it in.
Look at that. Number one right now is going to be Pat Casey, followed by Jose Torres-Gil, Justin Dowell, Joe Bondu, Jack Clark, Kostya Andreev, Irek Razev, and then 8th place right there, Andres Pardo. So first place, that's the one you have to watch, 86.5 by Pat Casey. Checking out into our 9th place. Let's roll into page number 2. It's going to be Alex Nicolin, Brian Fox, Riley Kieran, Jeremy Mallet, Jonathan Camacho, rounding off in 13th there, Tobias Figang, and Kane Mitchell, and then Eric Figar in 16th place there. So I believe those are the ones who are going to be making it into our final. A huge thanks to all the athletes that came out and competed in this qualification. It's been an absolutely amazing one to come out here and host with you, Daryl. Thank you so much, and thanks to everyone for joining us out there.
Yeah, it's been such a big honor to be out here to see all the riders. Ryan, it's always a pleasure being on the mic, getting to call all the competition with our riders. Very exciting to see and just be so much behind the riders and the athletes out here.
So we hope that we'll see you guys again at all the next events. Like we said, this is just the end of day number 2. So hopefully we are able to see you guys come out and join us for the next ones. Let's see what we have teasing for the rest of the FIS World Series.
The FIS World Series represents the premier action sports event, not only for the top-level riding, but for the top-level fans. You can look out at the thousands that come out to support all of our athletes.
This is going to be an amazing event that we have coming up for you.
It's unreal. There's no words for it. It's literally the biggest crowd in BMX, and good memories. I can't believe this is happening right now, and I really need to wake up if this is a dream.
Oh yeah, it's the most insane feeling ever. I can't believe it. Means you blow my mind again.
Oh my goodness.
Man, the tears pulling it off, the crowd going nuts here in Edmonton. Woo!